It's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. We are going to Mars today. This is a really exciting mission for a few reasons. I mean, obviously, any Mars mission is exciting. Any payload going to Mars is just cool. It's just different than like your low Earth orbit missions, all this stuff. But today is also very exciting because it's New Glenn's second launch. So that's obviously Blue Origin's massive, heavy lift rocket. That is extremely impressive. So I'm really excited to see this thing fly again for the second time. It launched for the first time in January, so they learned a lot from that, obviously. And now we're just waiting for them to go online, and hopefully their broadcast will start here soon. We ironically are starting at roughly the same time as their broadcast, which appears to be live already. So I'm going to get this going because I want to hear about this. We'll kind of pop in with commentary as it comes along. But for now, it looks like I have to switch to a different thing. So I'm just going to hold you guys off here while I load this up in our old friend called youtube.com and get this going instead. So I hope everyone's had a great weekend. I've been having a lot of fun because I have been doing recording drums for my upcoming album. It's finally going to be a full-length album. Those of you that have been with me for a long time, oops, you're probably hearing that already. Know that, I do all the music that you hear in all my videos and all that fun stuff. And I've been taking the time to do it right this time and actually produce a proper album. And it's been a lot of fun and it's been a big challenge. And yeah, it's been really, really cool. So Blue Origin is live. What they're playing right now has music, so I'll probably wait to unmute that here as soon as the music and background stuff is done because we don't want copyright strikes. But yeah, don't forget, today's mission is not what you're seeing here, which is a New Shepard, suborbital tourist launch. What they're doing today is New Glenn, which is their orbital rocket, and that thing competes, what we're seeing on screen, that competes with Falcon Heavy. Like it's, especially to higher energy orbits, it's actually more capable than Falcon Heavy even. Especially when reusable. So let's listen in here.
Once again, a huge welcome to our second launch of New Glenn, a historic day for us here at Blue Origin, and a moment that we've been building towards for months, a moment to finally land our New Glenn booster to carry NASA's ESCAPADE spacecrafts toward Mars. Now, once again, I'm Tabitha Lipkin. Joining me here in Cape Canaveral, Florida, is Ariane Cornell, New Glenn's Vice President of Strategy and Business Operations, the legend herself. Ariane, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tabitha, and thank you to everybody that's watching. I've been here at Blue Origin more than 10 years, 11 years, and counting here, and it's just fantastic to be here. I've been waiting a long time for this day, and our launch window is opening up here. We've got about 42 minutes to go until launch, but we have about an hour and a half for this launch window to get this launch off.
That's right. A little hour and a half to play with. Now, right now, you are seeing a live view of New Glenn out on the pad at Launch Complex 36. Now, what's interesting is right now, we are in the green zone, but we are tracking weather for launch at this moment in time. The first and second stage, by the way, are also both fueled. A lot happening. The pad is clear of all personnel. Our launch operations team is on console in Rocket Park. And our red team, Ariane?
Our red team, that is, to be very clear, that's the team that has the task of fixing any emergent issues that might arise on the rocket during the lead up to launch process. They're located a little closer to the pad itself. They're in Hangar S on the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station there.
But let's talk a little bit about Launch Complex 36 for a moment. It's a historic location, 9 miles right from where we are sitting, Ariane.
Absolutely. We've said this before, we at Blue Origin, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, the scientists and engineers that have come before us in the space industry. And that includes those that helped launch 140 Atlas II and III launches that took place from LC-36. That include the Mariner, Pioneer, and Surveyor missions. And those missions sent spacecraft to explore Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, Mercury, and the surface of the moon.
Now, given that incredible history, how awesome is it that our second New Glenn mission is an interplanetary mission to Mars?
It is. So today's mission is called ESCAPADE. It's a dual spacecraft mission. They're twin satellites. And eventually those two satellites are headed all the way to Mars, and they're going to investigate how the planet's weather changes over time.
Yeah, it's just so incredible, and we are so grateful for NASA for entrusting us with their payload today. They have been just amazing partners all the way through.
Absolutely. Tabitha, I know you played sports growing up, so did I. I say it all the time. teamwork is awesome for sports. That's how we think about it. But when it comes to rockets and launching things into space, it is teamwork all the way. And for us, it's across the organizations. It's been so motivating for our Blue Origin team to be able to collaborate on such a cool payload with NASA. But that's the lead up, and the main event is still to come. That's been all the preparations, and it's only 39 minutes and 40 seconds to go until launch here.
Unbelievable. Yes, teamwork makes the dream work, and we are continuing to take our steps towards our long-term vision of building a road to space for the benefit of Earth. We've got a lot, and I mean a lot, in store for you today. We're going to hear from a few special guests and get a behind-the-scenes look as our flight crew prepares New Glenn for liftoff.
So, for our viewers at home, with NG-1, our first launch, that was back in January, our goal was to get into orbit, which we did.
Yep.
First time we'd ever launched this rocket. Everything else in that case was a bonus. But for NG-2, no. We've got two goals. Our first, and most importantly, is to deploy the payload, our customers, on the right trajectory to make sure it heads to Mars. The second is to land the booster, to land the first stage of New Glenn. That said, if we don't land the booster, that's okay. We have several more vehicles that are already going through production here behind us, which has been really fun. Literally, Tabitha, in just the last 4 days that we've been here, I have seen major changes on the various parts of the stages. So exciting news.
Yeah, our factory floor is looking good. But right now, we want to take a moment to learn a little bit more about ESCAPADE and how it will help scientists learn more about the atmosphere on Mars. Our friends over at NASA put together an awesome explainer on the importance of ESCAPADE. Check it out.
Okay. Genuinely super excited about ESCAPADE, and I do want to watch this, but of course, copyright strikes is always a big concern. But yeah, I'll just kind of give you a little rundown. This is an orbiter that will be studying the Martian atmosphere. And New Glenn will technically just be putting it into a Lagrange point, where then these two satellites, so there's double satellites that will go in orbit. These were actually built by Rocket Lab, which is awesome. So it's like a really low-cost mission to Mars, because they got a really good deal on this launch from New Glenn. They got a really good deal on kind of taking a more off-the-shelf spacecraft with Rocket Lab's Photon. And yeah, it's just really cool. It's like, it's what you want to see, and it's going to be studying solar wind and the magnetosphere of Mars. So really exciting mission. Like, this is the kind of mission that I'm just like, yes, it's less expensive. Like, this is done for, like less than 100 million, I think, in total for NASA, which is insane. Like, that's really, really inexpensive and for an interplanetary mission. And it's just exciting to me. That stuff makes me exciting because we're leaning on these less expensive commercial launches. And, Blue Origin gave them a deal because it's like, this is the second launch. We'll give you a good deal on it, as we're continuing to prove out this rocket. So I absolutely love that. So notice that they said that today's goal, it's not just like a test. They're treating the landing as like, as a legitimate, we have to do this landing. Like, that's part of our mission success, is landing the booster. Big talk there for a second mission ever of an orbital class rocket. This thing, don't forget, this thing's almost as tall as the Saturn V. Like, this is darn close to, this is Starship scale sized vehicle. It's massive. So it's a big leap up from their New Shepard, which is tiny. Then to go to this thing is just absolutely a huge leap up in scale and energy and all that stuff. And then to say on their second one, like, hey, we learned a lot from the first launch. We're going to try landing the booster landing is not just an experiment. Like, that's what we consider mission success. That's bold. So we will see, if they can do it. I love that it is a daytime launch, so we actually get fantastic visuals. If they land the booster and have a successful mission, I think they're going to be up there for a top tier Astro Award. I don't know about you guys. Let me know if you think they should. If that should be up there for like one of the top missions of the year for Astro Awards. Which, by the way, are almost sold out. If you want to get tickets to Astro Awards, astroawards.live. Come see us January 17th and 18th in Austin, Texas. Yeah, get your tickets now because we've sold out already or almost sold out of the top package, and the other ones are selling quickly. So if you want to come see these people in person, cheer them on and get them up on stage and give them an award. Astroawards.live. Let's listen back in.
atmosphere on Mars.
It
Hopefully we'll get to
certainly
go there
is.
one day.
Yeah.
You know, with this information, it's really, really important.
And that's the plan. That's the plan they have for it. We have some cool interviews, like with the principal investigator of ESCAPADE coming up. But right now, we've got to bring in the third member of our team. That's Eddie Seifert. Eddie, you are standing by. You are in a great spot for viewing the rocket launch. And you can see, of course, where we're sitting right behind you. Eddie, what's going on?
Yeah, thanks, Tabitha. Thanks, Ariane, for the very warm welcome. I'm sitting on top of the parking garage at Rocket Park, joined by our fellow employees that work in the building right behind me. That building is where we have the heartbeat of New Glenn. Over 3,800 employees show up every day to shape metal and build the rocket that we see out on the launch pad today. By the way, that rocket is just down the horizon. We've got a clear view of it today, and it's going to be a great, great spot to watch the launch today.
Eddie, I have to know, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling hyped is really the only word. Grateful to be here. And as I talk to our fellow employees here, we're just proud. We're proud of the work that they've done. We're proud that we can put our best foot forward today and that we're going to attempt something very ambitious today.
We certainly are. Eddie, thank you so much. We look forward to checking back in with you again throughout the webcast. We're going to keep an eye on that cloud that's lingering over you. We might have to get Eddie an umbrella.
Yeah.
Out there. All right.
Notice the hardware behind the host there, and they're using a camera so you can see some parallax to realize how big that hardware is.
Unique vehicle, Orion. Give us a sense. Let's start out with the size, because it's got some incredible and important features.
Yeah, it's a very, very large rocket. For those that have followed our webcasts before, we've had quite a few New Shepard webcasts. New Shepard is about 60 feet tall when you put the capsule on top of it. New Glenn is massive. It's 320 feet tall.
Wow.
So that's 5 times the height. It's just about over 100 meters, and it's even taller than the Statue of Liberty. So it's kind of like you take the Statue of Liberty, you add another 50 feet on top of it, slap a couple of BE-4 engines, and that's basically what we're launching
It's tall enough to base jump off of, although I don't have permission to do that just yet. You and I actually got to go out there and stand next to it. I mean, I felt like I was an ant.
I kind of wish we had some people out there so we could give you some perspective.
Oh, there we are.
There we are. I'm glad we got some video. No, but because it is just so large, unless it's good that you have you've got there for some perspective, but we're still a bit far away from it. But that's all to say that it is so large, and that's on purpose, obviously, right? We want to be able to put very large payloads on top of the rocket. It has this ability to take a lot of mass and a lot of large things from a dimensional perspective up into space. So what you see here is New Glenn is a 2-stage rocket. For those of you that are not space nerds like us, basically a stage in a rocket is just a rocket. So when you say it's 2 stages, we've stacked one stage on top of the other. So stage 1, GS1, is the one on the bottom. It's fully reusable. We also call it the booster. The booster will lift off and push the second stage up. Once the 2 stages separate, the booster will make a flip, and then it will come back to land on Earth. And it's landing on a platform that is currently about 375 miles or so offshore to the east.
Roughly 600 kilometers.
The platform is called the Jacqueline.
And there's a live look, yeah.
There she is, beautiful.
Live view.
Looks nice out there.
Let's
It's beautiful,
go.
but Tabitha, it's missing something.
It certainly is missing something.
Wouldn't that look nicer with a landed booster on top of it?
You're right. I think it would.
Just saying.
They land this thing.
But that's the rocket at the core of the rocket. Let's talk about the heart of the rocket.
This is my favorite thing to talk about, and that is the engines. Now, in my mind originally, I always thought you built the rocket and then you slap an engine on it. Oh, no.
No.
You build a rocket around the engines.
Yeah. You basically start like, how much mass do I want to take to orbit? Therefore, how much power do I need? And that's when you focus on the engines. And then you build the rest of the rocket around it. So the first stage, the first rocket, again, 2-stage rockets, like stacking 2 rockets. The first stage is powered by 7 BE-4 engines. Blue engine 4. Of course, it's because we built a sequence of these. We've built in-house capabilities to design and build rocket engines. And We build the engines down in our Huntsville, Alabama factory, and each one of these things is massive. It generates 550,000 pounds of thrust. And to, again, give our space nerds, our Blue Origin groupies at home some perspective, New Shepard has 110,000 pounds of thrust at liftoff. Each of those engines has 550,000. Wait, hold on a second. Time out.
Oh, wait, we got a shot of the beach there. People enjoying the beach and ready to watch a launch.
Do you think these people know what's about to happen? Like that they're like, is this an earthquake? No. There's a rocket in the distance.
Yeah, they're like, oh, what is that? So anyway, okay, so we have 7 BE-4 engines.
We got 7 BE-4 engines, so each one of those engines, 550,000 pounds of thrust, 5 times what New Shepard has, and then we multiply that by 7. At the base, you see a live, beautiful shot of the base of the rocket. 3.85 million pounds of thrust is what this rocket is going to have on liftoff. So that...
Just for perspective, it's about half the amount of thrust in total as the Saturn V. It's less thrust than Falcon Heavy, but it's using methyl locks and has more efficient upper stages. So it actually, in reusable mode, it has more capability to be able to do roughly the same actually to low Earth orbit, but because it has more efficient upper stage engines, the BE-3 used running hydrogen, it can do a lot more to like high energy orbit. So it could do more to the moon than a recovered Falcon Heavy, and more to Mars than a recovered Falcon Heavy. Expendable Falcon Heavy, I think, still has the edge. In fact, no, it does still have the edge, but the large payload fairing, this is a 7-meter wide payload fairing, gives it a lot of capability. That's a huge volume. So it can just physically launch larger things than more conventional 5-meter fairing can. So that does open up some new things, which I think is cool. You can see the 2 BE-3 used there.
But that's just one of the...
In the interstage there.
Between the two programs, we like to show off how they're tied together because that's on purpose.
Certainly, and we also have to talk about something, which is we have a new leader at the helm of New Glenn.
We do. Jordan Charles, he's my new boss. He's the new head of New Glenn. He joined Blue Origin 8 years ago and has successfully led the GS1 team, the team that does the first stage of New Glenn for 3 of those 8 years. I can tell you, he's been my boss since about August, and he has a fantastic leadership style. And his...
So I saw someone in chat asking, what about an expendable Falcon Heavy versus an expendable New Glenn? That would be... So I've run all those numbers because I'm working on this long... It's already over 22 pages. I'm so sorry. A video about kind of what could replace, SLS and Orion, or what can we do for the Artemis program, basically. New Glenn can play a nice part. It has a lot of capability. If you did expend a New Glenn, I don't remember the numbers. I could look over here. If you expend New Glenn, which would be nuts, it's up there. Let's see, expended. You could throw 15 tons to the moon. Yeah, you could get 15 tons to the moon, which is actually a lot. So it doubles its payload capacity to the moon if you were to expend the booster. And that's a lot. 15 tons is very impressive. Versus about 7. So, fully expended, what is it? Fully expended, I'm looking through my crazy thing. Falcon Heavy can do, let's see. I think it's roughly that same amount, actually. 15, let me use my little spreadsheet. A little less than 15 tons. So, it has the slight edge, expended New Glenn versus expended Falcon Heavy. However, I don't think Blue Origin really has any plans to expend their boosters.
As you said, right behind us. And landing the booster, as we mentioned, is no easy undertaking. Our team, and myself included in that, recently had the opportunity to spend a day at sea with our Jacqueline crew and learn more about the operations of landing and securing the booster, an operation and moment that will change the course of Blue Origin history. Check it out.
All right, so we're probably going to get some, again, copyright music. But it's cool. I'm glad they're showing off more of their hardware here. And someone brought up a good point. When I was talking about expending the booster, I guess my calculations still have all the dry mass of the fins, the landing hardware, which is certainly, several tons, 5 or 10 tons worth of hardware that you could remove from the dry mass. So one thing that's going to be interesting to note is on the first launch, it was really slow at liftoff. And we still don't quite know. There wasn't good transparency on... were they intentionally throttling down the engines just to have some extra baked-in margin? Was there an issue? Were they underrated engines in general? Where are we at? So I'm hoping that we see a substantial difference between the first launch and the second launch. I hope it clears the tower, in half the time compared to the first launch. Almost like literally half the time. So hopefully it's thrust away, because it looked like the first launch, the thrust away rate was like 1.1 or something, just really slow liftoff. And I'm hoping that this time we just see it be a lot more conventional liftoff, where because you're wasting a lot of fuel. But what's cool, when they land this thing, it's basically going to come to hover next. My understanding is it's supposed to hover next to the barge and then translate over and land. So it actually does have we don't think it quite can hover, but it has a lot closer to a 1-to-1 thrust to weight ratio when empty on one engine compared to a Falcon 9 or Falcon Heavy booster. So it likely won't quite hover, but it will come off to the side and then translate over, is my understanding. That'd be really cool if that is what we see. Just really excited. I mean, how can you not be excited about this? To see some competition. It's been almost 9 years now since SpaceX first landed their Falcon 9. And they're working on, this is kind of leapfrogging the Falcon 9 and, in a sense, leapfrogging Falcon Heavy. It's not quite keeping up with what Starship's, promises would be, or like its goals. But it's good. I'm glad they didn't aim at Falcon 9, because if they'd aimed at Falcon 9, by the time this thing launched, it would have been antiquated. But to have capabilities to on par or beyond Falcon Heavy is good. We need that competition. I want this to succeed, of course. We want to see these rockets becoming operational, putting some pressure on each other. So I'm excited for that.
And Ariane, we've got a live look there of the Jacqueline. Such an honor to be able to go out on that barge. But a thing to note, that the entire team there is like a family. They are eating, sleeping, playing a few card games, and working together, sometimes for more than a week at a time. Now, they've been running these simulations for months leading up to NG2, and we're all hopeful today that they finally get to put all that preparation into good action,
Exactly. And that plays into the two primary objectives of this launch.
Wait, hold on. We have someone who's just come into the studio.
Oh,
I
yes.
hope it's okay. Dr. Fox, Dr. Nikki Fox, yes. Hey, do you think you could come over here just for a second? Hi.
Hi.
Sorry. I hope it's not a surprise to bring you onto the webcast.
No, I'm glad to be here. It's just such an exciting day.
It is. So how are you feeling about today? What are you doing here?
Oh, well, I'm working on console, working with the team, super excited. It is just an amazing day. We've waited a long time for this. This is for us such a day of firsts. First NASA science mission on a New Glenn, first heliophysics mission going to Mars, first interplanetary spacecraft for Rocket Labs. All of these really amazing things. And for me, the excitement is it's really the first mission that we are going to launch for Artemis, to be able to start getting ready to protect our crews when they go to Mars. Super excited about Artemis 2 next year, launching to the moon, and then NASA Science, we are eyes on Mars.
Oh, we're all eyes on ESCAPADE and Mars today, aren't we?
Amazing. Isn't this nice that I believe your background is in heliophysics? How do you feel about going to Mars? Like, we're mixing it up in the solar system for you.
Well, I will tell you, for heliophysics, the moment you leave the Earth's atmosphere, you're traveling in my neighborhood.
That's fair.
Right? Heliophysics goes all the way from the center of the sun to the very outer edge of our solar system. So I actually was one of the, I got to select this mission, so could not be more excited to be here with my amazing heliophysics team getting ready to launch this mission.
And especially given the advanced space has made this extraordinary trajectory,
right.
that the two spacecraft are going to fly around L2, but also, again, in your neighborhood.
For the first time ever.
First time ever, and it actually unlocks a lot of possibilities for us thinking about Mars going forward, because now maybe we're not stuck with these Mars launch windows.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's such a fantastic day.
Cool.
And really briefly, can you explain that for our viewers?
Yeah,
because what we're doing is we're kind of doing it in the middle period where we normally wouldn't send something to Mars, but we're going to sit it and let it wait. So explain that.
We are. So we don't have to wait another basically 13 months for Mars to get exactly in the right place and then launch. We are launching the mission. It's going to basically hang out and then wait for Mars to come into the right location, and then accelerate full speed ahead to Mars. So it's just a really great, yet another mission of firsts. Yeah.
So many great things. Dr. Fox, thank you for taking the time. I'm sorry I had to grab you, but we couldn't pass up this opportunity.
Well, and I just want to thank you guys. I want to thank Blue Origin for their amazing partnership on the New Glenn. I want to thank Rocket Labs for all the work they've done, the amazing team at NASA Goddard, my incredible team at NASA headquarters. You know, we deliver, they crush it every day, delivering for the nation, inspiring the world.
Well, and thank you. It is an honor to fly a NASA payload on New Glenn today. That you trust us with your technology like that, it means a lot. It's first of many to come, we hope.
First of many to come. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Dr. Fox.
Fox. Gotta get back to the console. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Well, with that, I mean, it's so great to add people to the webcast team today. But let's throw it back over to Eddie. Eddie, he is out. He is out with a great view in Rocket Park.
And Eddie, 53 minutes now. So
yeah. Hey, Tabitha. Hey, Ariane. We know going to space.
Let's do that math here. So 53 T minus 53 minutes would be. So they do have like a 2-hour launch window, by the way. So that's good. We they have some time here to kind of play with the launch window with the weather clearly not quite cooperating so far. They have a, let's see, 1 hour would be 8:45. They have almost an hour and a half, an hour and 28-minute launch window today. So, yeah, it has not quite updated here. So that would be 52 minutes from now would be less than, so that'd be about 14, whatever that is, 2014. Let me fix this here. 2014-ish. Let's see if this lines up. Oh, that was off. It's going to be about 4 minutes later than that. 18 would be the right number we're looking for. 51. There we go.
This is exciting, right? This is the stuff.
But it's not on hold. Crap.
And Tim and his team are making it happen. And soon, right? Tell us about Mark 1. What is that about? So Mark 1 is
cool. Okay. I'm fixing it to not stay on hold since we actually have a clock going. Oh, you guys don't even see my thing either. So hold on. Let me fix that. I'll get this going here. 1 second.
I'm excited to return to the moon. This time to stay. What else can we answer?
It must be when I update stuff.
Eddie, I mean, you saw in the video.
1 second.
You can see with the cars for scale at the massive building. Can you talk a little bit about why it's so big? I mean, our lunar landers, you know, are not necessarily going to be that big. Why does the building need to be that big?
Yeah, no, Tim and I were just talking about this, right? The Mark II crew lander that will be ready soon, it stands over 16 meters tall. So you have to encapsulate that in the very large New Glenn fairing, and that happens in the building behind us. So then we can send that payload fairing to the integration facility at LC-36 and get it ready to New Glenn and launch it to the moon.
Fantastic. I should note, Tabitha, that there's the co-location component of this is so important from a production and ease and operation standpoint. I should also say that's one of the reasons why we built our rocket factory here in Florida. We're the first company organization to build rockets that they then launch out of here also in Florida. And the co-location in principle is supposed to make this, just make the operations faster, smoother, cut down the time, cut down the risk. Anytime you're transporting a rocket, you're taking risk, right? So we want to cut that down. It's cutting down on the risk, cutting down on the operations. But what is also nice is that the team that's going to be building the lunar the lunar payload and our lunar landers out here get the opportunity to come walk, you know, a couple hundred feet down the road and then come and talk to the engineers that are here building New Glenn. So the co-location, you know, we do have several locations around the U.S., but by now, in terms of number of people and programs and things, Florida is starting to become a little bit more, let's say, the center of our operational gravity, if you will. And so we're so fortunate that we decided to create such a large campus here in Florida to then be able to add, as appropriate, the other programs, not just the New Glenn program.
Right, certainly continuing to build in many ways, and of course, build the road to space for the benefit of Earth. Yes. Well, if you are just joining us, I wanted to let you guys know you've got a live look there from Huntsville. Everyone is getting so pumped up for NG2. But right now, we are at L minus 48 minutes, about 45 seconds. You might be like, wait a minute, I thought we were a little closer to launch than that. Well, that is because we do have a reset of the clock to allow for weather conditions to clear for launch. That is Kent Washington.
Go Kent, losing it.
Oh, yeah. I like the guy with the flag. I like whoever's job it is, make sure they're the hype man with the flag.
That is Doug Gross. He is, I want to say, first couple dozen of employees.
Really?
That man has been here. He's a legend at our company. So if we've given him flag bearer, he's
earned that honor. Hype man for today. Such an exciting day for all of us here at Blue Origin. But right now, we're going to take a moment. We're going to throw it right over to this beautiful rocket. Let you sit with it there on the pad as we are continuing the process for NG2.
Sweet. So, good time for us to be able to kind of answer some questions and stuff. And I see a few in our queue here. So, if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in. We got a little bit of time as we're waiting for the weather to clear up now. So, yeah, good time to check out, and good views here too. We can kind of keep an eye on the weather as well. It looks like at least you can see some blue sky on the screen. So that's always a good thing. So, Abstract Lizard had asked, what is the TWR, so the thrust to weight ratio on launch? And so, actually, it says on lunch, which I appreciate. I am always curious what the thrust to weight ratio is, specifically on lunch. But we don't know exactly what it will end, or what it will be in reality. But it is closer to like a 1.3, I think. We could do the math. I mean, they gave us all the masses and everything, and 550,000 pounds of thrust each. Engine times 7, 35. I don't know how much they said it weighs, but yeah, I think it's like 1.3 or something. It's not as high as some other rockets, and that's fine. But hopefully, as they continue to uprate the BE-4, which does seem to be something they hope to do, that thrust to weight ratio could go up, performance could go up as well. So that's always good to have a little bit of extra performance in there at some point. We lost the things again, didn't we? Sorry, guys. I've been having problems with our overlay today. I might actually just nuke it and do this instead, where I just put this here, and ta-da! Now we have a countdown clock. That does mean I think that means our stuff's not going to show up on screen though. Your comments, which is not ideal. So I'll try refreshing one more time here. I don't know why this is happening. There we go. But now my camera, sorry. For now, just in case it goes away, I'm going to put my camera there. There you go. And hopefully now we can still get comments. All right, give me a second here. Get back in there. I do love seeing the condensation pour off the rocket. It looks so epic, honestly. It's just a massive rocket. All right, so let's see here. This is, yeah, we saw that Moto Kid. You saw the drone ship. They did show it. Jacqueline is the name of that drone ship. So they do still have the drone ship. Oh, moving during the landing. No, it's now stationary. So there was talks for a little while. They were going to be using, when they had this big ship, that it would be in motion to hopefully smooth out things. I think they decided that that's actually more difficult than just, going forward as is. So kind of how SpaceX has done it with theirs. Let's see. This is interesting. Astropreneurs, thank you so much for your donation. Oh.
The broadcast of NG2. We're at L minus 44 minutes and 50 seconds, and I've got to throw it out to our very own Eddie Seyfert, who is with employees at Rocket Park. They are pumped. We are pumped. Eddie, bring it to us. What's going on out there?
All right, so during this, it's like, how are you feeling? I'm good. We should answer questions because I think this is a better question here. So, what mission risks exist for ESCAPADE hanging out in the Lagrange point for a year? So that's what they're doing. So like I said, and like I forget her name, Dr. Whoever with NASA mentions, like, we're gonna hang out in a Lagrange point, and then the spacecraft will do its own acceleration towards Mars, the final acceleration burn towards Mars once Mars is in line. So the risk there is, you have spacecraft loitering, kind of needing to be under their own. Under their own power, just more opportunities for for something to go wrong before heading off to Mars. But, Lagrange points are a safe area. But basically, a Lagrange point is where you're in a gravitational balance between multiple bodies. So this is an Earth-Sun Lagrange point. So basically, you can get a spacecraft to not be like orbiting, Earth. It's technically orbiting the sun still, but from our perspective, it looks like it's just stationary between us and the sun, and or behind us and the sun is L2, I think. And so, or was it L1? If anyone can remind me. So what's going to happen is then the spacecraft have to do their own burn. They'll actually lower the orbit back down to be, they'll get the Oberth effect from Earth. So they'll actually get back into Earth orbit and zip past Earth, and Earth's gravity assist will help fling it out towards Mars. So the spacecraft have to have their own propulsion able to do that, which is only a few hundred meters per second. It's not anything crazy at that point. Or maybe it's like 1,000. Let me think. I'm thinking of Kerbal Space Program. But it's they have to have enough, propulsion and enough power to be able to do that on their own. So that is definitely a consideration as well. So that's one of the risks. But otherwise, if the spacecrafts are able to orbit and do their own maneuvers and things like that, then it's not really that big of a risk. It's just loitering time. So it allows New Glenn to be able to launch kind of at its earliest opportunity. Allows them to do an extensive shakedown of the two vehicles. Yeah. Let's listen in here. I feel like we might be missing out on some stuff.
But like my husband, I'm popping out dad jokes. It's really awful. It happens. But anyway, it is, the rocket is looking really, really good. I should say, Tabitha, the team has been working so hard over the last couple of days to get that rocket ready. And in particular, we learned so much on NG1. So much. This is the first time you do something, okay, like you design it one way, but you don't really see how things are going to click and connect physically on the rocket, but also from a team perspective, from an operational perspective, until you do it. And so we learned so much on NG1, and to see the speed and the improvement on NG2 has been amazing. Last week, so I was down here last week for what we call integrated hot fire. So what we do is we stack the rocket, looked exactly like this. We hold down the rocket, and we fire the 7BE4 engines. There you see the base of the rocket, those 7BE4 engines.
Super powerful.
Just to make sure that everything is flowing and working right. And we rolled out the rocket one evening, and we hot fired the rocket the next evening. That took us several attempts the first time we did this. And this time, boom, within 24 hours, we had our integrated hot fire test complete, which is what led us here. And then basically a week later, we were on the pad ready to launch because we had a couple of learnings that came out of that integrated hot fire, but we're ready to go.
Right back at it.
It wasn't a ton of things. And so that is just one way in which we're showing the improvement in our operations of this rocket. And if we keep up on that trajectory, so to speak.
Think about what that leads to.
That is what's going to lead to the launch, land, repeat. And that's why today is so important for everybody at home. We're objective number one, putting this rocket into space to put our customer, our NASA ESCAPADE mission into space. Objective number two is to get that first stage, the booster, to land on the ship downrange, because we need to learn from the landed booster to be able to do the refurbishment, because this rocket is reusable, because we're going to bring down the cost of access to space through that reusability. But
exactly.
Look at that.
But just taking a moment to sit with the rocket, let's actually toss it back over to the rocket on the pad. Again, you are watching the webcast of NG2.
I'm getting chills.
Cool. So another opportunity to answer more questions. So yeah, it's going out to an L2 Lagrange point. So that's the one behind the Earth. So basically, the Earth will be more or less shielding it from the sun. I mean, it's not quite because, but the Earth is in between the sun and the spacecraft for where they're launched in that perspective. So we don't really know Apogee 49. We don't necessarily know why exactly. There's a lot of speculation on why it had a low thrust to weight ratio. I kind of mentioned it briefly earlier that we still don't know if it had, if they intentionally did a lower throttle setting. To have plenty of margins in the engines. Let's say if an engine went out, if all your engines are sitting there at 80% power, and you have one go out, you can go to full throttle on the other ones and have some margin baked in. Were they going for were they underrated engines in general? As the first launch, it kind of just had a safer power setting in general, We don't know the exact reason, but it did lumber off the pad. And even ironically, like even in their recap video, they actually sped up the footage a little bit. So I think it underperformed compared to what they were expecting. And so I think this is a big test today to see if this thing just gets off the pad quicker than last time. It was still a successful test flight last time, hitting most of the milestones I think they wanted to hit. I mean, just especially at this scale, having staging events happen, get through the first and second stage burn, clean into your first orbital insertion is awesome. I think they had a little bit of, I don't think they made it quite to the exact orbit they're initially aiming for after the relight of the second stage. But I think other than that, it was like picture perfect for the actual mission. So I think they learned a lot on their first test flight, which is the whole point of your first test flight, obviously. Really exciting. Let's see here. So Caesar asking, what was the reason for Escapade not flying on NG1? I think just they wanted to shake down, it's of anything. And I don't think, if I remember right, they were waiting on the Escapade satellites. I don't know if they were delivered in January yet either, or at least not ready to be fully integrated. I think they didn't get delivered in time per se to be fully integrated by NG1. Maybe that might be wrong. But I also think it's kind of just a smart move to not put a paying customer's payload on your very first launch. So second launch seems good. Justin's travel. Max Q isn't for 1 minute and 30 seconds after launch. Wouldn't that indicate a slower acceleration? Yep, that does. That does. And the further out your max Q is, it could be a few different things though. Flight profile changes that a lot too. So if it's a shallow flight profile with a lower thrust to weight ratio, it's different than a high thrust to weight ratio. Steeper profile. Let's listen in here. I just want to see if there's any updates.
Clouds. I know we're in a weather hold right now, but it looks really nice. It's beautiful.
She's just chilling, that rocket.
She's being illuminated. She's chilling. The rocket's chilling. I'm chilling. Ariane's chilling. But you at home, don't chill. Come with me. We want to take you through something really cool, okay? While we're in this hold, let's talk about Viasat's HaloNet network. Now, the commercial communication system supporting NASA's shift to next-generation space relay services is actually a part of today's mission as well.
That's right. So the same technology featured here is being demonstrated on today's New Glenn flight to relay launch telemetry in real time.
Yeah, I'm curious about this. But here's the copyright music, probably. So there you go. This is perfect. They have closed captions. So this is about being able to stay connected in space. So Viasat is doing something that I don't quite understand what exactly is being tested on this mission, but there is something being tested. That looks like a very AI rocket they just launched. No, it's supposed to be an Atlas V. Sorry, I'm being critical of their. Anyway, let us answer this question. I think it's a very valid question. Ben Solo, do you think when Isaacman becomes head of NASA, the NASA administrator, that he will be professional and do what's best for Artemis, or will he be loyal to Elon? I think you can easily do both. I don't think he has that. Like, he's obviously talked about commercial providers already a lot. He's talked about Blue Origin. He's been reposting Blue Origin, cheering for Blue Origin. He's talked about Rocket Lab. He's talked about everything in that manner. He's not just SpaceX is the best and SpaceX is going to win all the contracts. I think there's a lot of systems in place to prevent something like that anyway. I think what he's not loyal to, I don't think he cares about, I think he's looking at it from the top down going, why are we spending the amount that we spend every year on SLS and Orion, regardless of if they do anything, is more than the entire lunar lander program. Period. Like, don't forget, SpaceX has won, basically $3 billion for the lunar lander. Blue Origin basically won around another $3 billion for their lunar lander. $6 billion in total. That's basically the cost of running SLS and Orion every year, just the operational costs. Whether or not they do anything. Like, so even in between 2022, 3 years ago when SLS launched to today, it's been, basically that amount of money. And I think he's rightfully kind of going, is that really the best use of our money? What if we didn't have to spend, a good chunk of NASA's budget on a launch system? And he definitely has been like, why is NASA building a heavy lift launcher super heavy lift launcher when commercial rockets can do the job, right? So I think he's critical of things that I'm also critical of. You know, why? There's definitely some loyalty. There's definitely laws in place to try to prevent SLS and Orion from being canceled. There's parts of it that are obviously fantastic, and I think it would be a shame to cancel at a certain point. But at a certain point, like, you can see the trajectories of both programs. One is staying as expensive as you can possibly imagine, and the other, the commercial launch industry, is getting cheaper every single day. So where are these programs going to be in 10 years, and which do you aim for? If you're saying in 10 years we really want this to be, look at how big that payload fairing is with those tiny spacecraft in there. If we want this program, if we want NASA to succeed and we want to be aiming and aligning with the future, and we really want humans to be able to live on the moon and get to Mars and have a sustainable presence in space, what is sustainable about $5 billion a year on the launch budget for a vehicle that flies every 2 or 3 years? Like, that's just not sustainable. Why not look to other options? I think he's quite critical of those things, and I think that's fair. I think that's fair criticism. I think we've had time and time again opportunities for these programs to step up, to get ahead of schedule, to perform at their capacity, and they haven't. I think contractors have had their opportunities. Not to throw shade at Boeing, but Boeing had an opportunity to get ahead of SpaceX with Starliner and be the first to the station, and they got 60% more money to do that. And look at where we're at now. Already SpaceX has flown 11 or 12 human missions for NASA, and like 15 in total human missions, and they did it for 63% less money. And that's 5 years. 5 years difference too. So and increasing. So I mean, I think, like, give contracts to those that are performing, and give contracts to those that are fitting the bill and doing what they're being paid to do, and don't pay them until they do it. That's the beauty of fixed price contracts versus fixed price contracts versus cost plus. So I think he's a big fan of fixed price contracting, and I think we need to see more of that, and we are seeing more of that. And the human landing system is part of that. The spacesuits, the rovers are all fixed price contracts. So I think that's great, and I want to see that be pushed more. But let's listen
7 meters in diameter, and the first stage is massive in its own right. It's still like landing a building, but it's on the same circumference as New Shepard.
It is a moment that I know we're all kind of on the edge of our seats waiting for. I certainly am. We've been building up to this moment for months, and then technically for years, if we look at how much time it has taken from the start of this company. 25 years ago, we just had our 25th anniversary, and something really interesting, Ariane, 10 years to the month and almost to the day is when we landed the New Shepard booster.
Yes, it was, and I don't want to be misquoted. I think it was November 15th. It'd be off by a day or two.
That's all right. No one's holding you to it.
But it was of 2015.
Yeah.
When we landed New Shepard for the first time, and that was the first time any organization had ever landed a booster that had gone to space before. And I had the honor of being down there. The organization looked a little different than it does today. We had a couple hundred employees. We're now over 10,000 employees.
Yeah.
We had Kent and we had West Texas, and that's it. And there was a group of, maybe like 50.
So maybe I'll answer some questions because they're reminiscing right now, and a lot of people asking about the daytime launch ban that's coming up for the FAA for commercial launches. That technically doesn't start till tomorrow. Sounds like Blue Origin is trying to apply for an exemption from that. So what's happening is, because of the government shutdown here in the United States, we have people that are like in what is it called? The tower. My God, why am I blanking on this word right now? Flight controllers. There we go. In the tower, keeping the public safe and keeping planes on track and all the important things about air travel are understaffed right now because they're not being paid and or being underpaid or not paid at all. And some people are not able to continue going to work because they're not getting paid during the government shutdown. So To ease some of the traffic controllers' jobs, basically the FAA has been like, hey, we just can't fly during the busiest times. We can't launch rockets during the busiest times of air flight. It's just too much more to coordinate and plan around. It's a low-hanging fruit way to try to ease up air travel and the air traffic controllers' jobs. So that's exactly what they have proposed, and what they're intending to enact tomorrow is don't launch basically during the busiest hours, so daylight, basically. It's only for FAA licensed launches, so NASA missions and things like that, and Air Force or Space Force missions would have their own licenses, or DoD launches. So that would mean Starlink can't launch during the day. That does mean technically this vehicle is licensed under an FAA license, even though it's a NASA mission. So it's kind of confusing. I talk a little bit about that kind of stuff in my latest video that I just released a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, whenever it was, week and a half ago. About the range and kind of the licensing process and things like weather delays and weather scrubs and weather considerations. So if you're sitting here going like, why are they scrubbing? Who makes these rules? It's raining right now, it looks like. Definitely looks like it's raining right now. We talk about that kind of stuff. What things violate the range and what is the range? So if you've ever wondered about that, definitely give that video a watch. It was really cool to be able to go behind the scenes at Vandenberg and see who's in charge of all that stuff and how they make those decisions. So check that out. It's a cool video. One of those ones that like I wanted to make for a long time because I have a lot of questions about that kind of stuff. So anyway, the FAA launches when they license a launch. Yeah, that would take into effect tomorrow. So Blue Origin's apparently working to try to get an exemption for that. So I wonder if this is a telecommunications orbiter by 2028. The orbiter builds upon our Mars next generation relays and Mars sample return architecture. Okay, that's cool. Built on blue rings, high performance hybrid propulsion system, greatly expands Mars launch windows, reducing mission risk. It also delivers larger communication systems and the ability to operate in a higher orbit altitude. MTO features multiple links for fast and robust coverage. So basically we're talking about like a Starlink, constellation around Mars to be able to provide better coverage on the surface of Mars back to Earth. A continuous comms link to Earth is the heart of MTO. That's very cool. And there's more. MTO is a complete infrastructure hub. It can also provide data storage, edge computing, and AI applications. Okay. With superior mobility, MTO deploys UHF relay satellites before. That's cool. As part of the MTO architecture, these relay supports. Oh, it's going too fast. Reducing relay complexity and costs. MTO maneuvers to high altitude orbits and continues communicating to Earth for Mars sample return and all future surface, orbital, and human exploration missions. Blue Origin is ready to help NASA develop Mars. That's exciting. That's the kind of stuff I'm excited to see. This is what we have to have in place architecturally before humans can go anywhere near Mars. This mission today that's going to be studying Mars's atmosphere is great for getting humans to Mars to know how to live on Mars. Yeah, let's listen in here. Keep your questions coming, and I'll hopefully have more time to answer them. I think, oh my gosh, it's like really raining right now.
Just to note, well, we definitely have rain out there on the pad.
But this is Florida. If you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, exactly. So but now you guys know why we were waiting for a little bit. We saw this coming, so we're just holding here and added a little bit more time to the clock, and that's why we're still holding about 24 minutes and 50 seconds to go until launch. We're going to wait for this to pass. But as I was mentioning, prior to taking this current role, I had the honor of being deputy in charge of our in-space systems business unit that is building Blue Ring. And Blue Ring has this ability to take up to 13 payloads and then deploy them, but then also act as the comms relay, also do edge computing in space. So basically, in a very simplified way of talking about it, it's kind of like a mission in a box. You can take that whole constellation, send it to Mars, deploy the satellites, and then use the Blue Ring itself, which did its first job as transporting, to then be the communications relay back to Earth. And the more power you have in that comms capability, the faster you're going to get the data and the communications. Right now, one of the biggest issues is that Mars is so far away. And so there's this huge delay. the better the comms you can have, the better we're setting up, as you were mentioning before, future, not just the science that needs to happen to prep us for our future
I've
missions.
seen a lot of people being like, just talking negatively about Blue Origin for following launch protocol. This isn't even a Blue Origin decision. If you watched my video about the range, you'd understand that weather delays and weather considerations is a range decision. So in this case, the Space Force is literally saying, hey, you guys don't have clearance to launch. You can't launch. And right now, what they're likely violating, because there's a cumulus cloud or anvil cloud within vicinity, is the lightning launch commit criteria. So in 89 or something, I don't know, just watch my video. If you're too close to an anvil cloud, and you can have ground-attached lightning go through the rocket, and that actually caused the failure of an Atlas rocket. So now that we understand how this works, we have systems set in place to say, don't launch in these conditions. And that's literally what in this case, the United States Space Force's job is to say, hey, you don't have clearance to launch right now. It is outside of the launch commit criteria. So this is not a decision that anyone's making on the Blue Origin side, and it's not really even a decision to be made right here. It's are the conditions okay and safe to launch? Yes or no? And the answer currently in these conditions is, and people are saying, why aren't they launching? They are. The clock's running. They are going for a launch. What they did is they waited. They pushed the launch back, 50 minutes or whatever, wherever we were for the first time, so that this cloud could hopefully make it through the launch, the range, make it over the pad, get out of the area in time. So this is like an art. That is the decision, is when do you try to launch in your window. So they have nearly an hour and a half launch window, and for them to try to figure out when can we actually fit this launch in that does not worry about weather. Like, when can we push it later? Where is the biggest opening of what looks to be safe weather? And so you're trying to predict that coming. You're trying to get ahead of it. It's actually it's like an art form, and using all the data we have to be able to make those informed decisions. So I say we, this is the royal we, but I think that's cool. I like that kind of stuff, because it's just like, those are the things that I don't consider about a rocket launch. I'm like, yeah, just launch. I'm kind of with you guys. You think just launch it, but like, there's actually a lot of decision making skills and a lot of data that they're combing over to be able to come to how to do a launch safely. So, and that ultimately keeps us public safe, because if lightning strikes a rocket and fries the avionics and the rocket starts pitching over, and bye-bye Titusville, we don't want that. So let's listen here, see if they're going to talk about weather at all.
To go out to the pad, we had some time to look at NG2 in all glory. And so I want to talk about how cool it was for us to go and see this engineering marvel.
Let's check it out.
All right, so another video of them checking out NG2. It is objectively, I think, a really good looking rocket. I do like that it doesn't look prototypey, and at this point they're considering it to be, a operational rocket. At least they're hoping it is, and they're aiming for an operational launch today. So that's cool. I like that. It's different. We're used to these days seeing SpaceX launch Starship, which is always, kind of in this iterative prototype phase. So to be able to see it, get ready to be able to see a company kind of come out with a finished product and get it out on the pad, on a completed launch pad and stuff is just cool. It's different. You do kind of get a sense of scale here. And I'll tell you, I've been out on that launch pad. You can kind of see people walking around on the base of the launch platform there. It's a huge launch pad. I mean, I can't stress enough. So I think people, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I, for one, have a lot of respect for this program and this rocket. So from Hookazatuna, thank you so much for the taco fund. I've actually got two engineers here, two audio engineers, an audio engineer and a producer in town. Like I said, we've been recording music this week and this weekend. We are in a hold now. Dang it. Hang on. Oops. No. What am I doing? Sorry. Oh, I gotta go to studio mode. You guys are gonna get one heck of a show here today. Like, what is happening? Okay, let me fix the time. We are in a hold. Not ideal. Save changes. Hang on. On hold, save changes. And now I probably have to refresh the overlay because that seems to be the problem, is when I make changes, something's happening. There we go. Okay. We're in a hold. Shoot. I was actually thinking like, oh, we're gonna make it, but the weather does not look ideal, so not that surprised, to be perfectly honest. But we do have a launch window left of, what did I say? Its launch window closes at launch closes in 1 hour and 13 minutes. So if they pick that countdown back up, what is that? If they pick that countdown up, 20 minutes, they'll have basically an hour at this point to still be able to launch this vehicle. So, and someone did ask in chat, you know, how long can it sit there? There is a very healthy pad infrastructure there for New Glenn, so I think they can sit in the hold and keep it topped off for hours. And they start prop loading like T-minus 4 hours on this vehicle, so this is not like Starship. It's not quite a load and go situation like we're used to seeing with SpaceX. It's a little more traditional in that sense of like, hey, we'll load the rocket and then we'll just top it off and keep chilling it in on the rocket. I'm nervous they're gonna they took the video of the rocket off. Oh, here we go. Let's listen. I want an update.
And it was really, I don't know, almost like an out-of-body experience to be standing next to New Glenn. I have been to New Shepard launches. This is my first New Glenn launch. And to see New Glenn upright and to be in the presence of something the size of a skyscraper and to learn, as you mentioned, it's essentially a rocket stacked on top of a rocket, right? And the pad itself has so much history. It's just like, I don't know, Space Coast is such a special place. This launch is so special. This rocket is so special. So
yeah, I had a chance to chat with some of our customers and our VIPs that also got a chance to check out the rocket. A lot of them, of course, have been in the industry a long time, and they got out there for a photo op yesterday, and they said, "This rocket just looks beautiful."
Yeah.
And there is something to be said, actually, for you can look at a piece of engineering. I know it's very simplistic, but you can look at a piece of engineering and be like, aha, that looks right. That looks right. It feels right. You add too many bells and whistles and you're like, it's not. This rocket is a marvel of engineering. It flew so well on its first go. I cannot wait to see how it performs on its second go. And as we said, we're cautiously optimistic. We've made some changes to the first stage after our first launch, where we didn't recover the booster to be able to land this time. And we feel good. We feel good. I don't want to jinx anything, but man, I feel
We're
good.
knocking. I knock on my
knocking all over the place. Yeah.
But you're right. I've been talking to employees, for months leading up to this moment, and employees do feel good. Engineers feel good, and this launch, it feels different. It feels good. And I think everyone is just, on the edge of their seat at this precipice, right? We're ready to land the booster.
It would feel a lot better if these clouds got out of the way, if this weather got out of the way.
We are in a weather hold. So here's what's going on. If you are tuning in right now, you're watching the webcast for NG2. You might notice on your screen that we are in a hold. We're doing that to allow for a little more time for that weather to clear. We're gonna let you know and keep you guys posted on the new T-clock as soon as we get information on that. So right now, let's toss it back over to New Glenn on the pad as we wait for some of this weather to just kind of move on out.
Roll on by.
Just get out of here.
Man, I don't know why you guys are there's not all of you, but there's a good amount of vocalization for people upset at this launch. I don't understand. I think the hosts are doing a fantastic job of keeping us informed. They've gone over a lot of technical details. It's not my fault if you miss the technical details. I think they're erring on the side of we're going to be on air and talking, hanging out and presenting, where SpaceX, these days seems to kind of do the thing of they'll just not talk. They'll just be like, here, and then they get off air and they just go into a thing. So it's just different. To each their own. I was wondering why my phone started playing. It disconnected from the Formula One race finally and started playing the music. Okay, so let's answer more of your questions. This is a good one to remember. Man on Mars says, Tim, additionally, congratulations to Rocket Lab, Peter Beck, and the team. Photon spacecraft headed to Mars. Can't wait for Neutron. Absolutely. 100%. Like, that's what I love about this mission is it's a NASA mission launching. Oh, there's a rainbow going. That's cool. It's a NASA mission launching on New Glenn on Blue Origin's rocket, and the spacecraft are made by Rocket Lab. So it's based on the Photon, which is really, really cool. I love the kind of like it's merging so many systems and so many people and companies together, and I just think that's really cool. So yeah, let's hear it. So yeah. So, and what's with all the footballification? Yeah, I feel like people are making this a team sport thing. Friendly reminder, I invite you, and I'd like to participate in the ethos of Team Space. Like, I'm just here to celebrate everyone that's pushing, doing engineering, bending metal, building rockets, launching rockets, getting into space, going to space. If you're at home and have never done any of these things, then I kindly invite you to maybe consider either getting into the industry and working and seeing if you can do the same, or just enjoy, because this is free. Like, this is free entertainment for us nerds. I don't see the need for tribalism to be like, well, it's not SpaceX, therefore I don't care. It's like, I love SpaceX, and I love this, and I love Blue Origin, I love what Rocket Lab's doing, I love what Stoke Space is doing, I love what, there's just so many companies doing incredible things, and to sit there and just pick a team, and that's also why I'm probably like the worst Formula One fan, because I'm just like, I want everyone to do well. Yeah. Michael Tibbetts became a member. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Ruzzable Rockets from, thank you so much from Sea Sours. Let's see. So, Jebediah Kerman wants to know, do you know who the special guests are at the Astro Awards next year? We have a handful of them. We will be making announcements soon. There's definitely a certain gentleman that you may be familiar with who often says the word hello. That was a horrible impression. Or maybe has a catchphrase of fly safe. Will definitely be there. Another one who has landed a rocket themselves in their garage, basically. Joey Bizzle. Yeah, if you guys want to, astroawards.live, get your tickets now. See a lot of cool people. Like I said, we'll be making announcements here very soon about who all is coming and what the panels are and stuff. Loaded this year. We have even more special guests, more panels, more. We have like this really cool lounge and everything too that we're going to be having, and a big event space. So we're going to have vendors and things like that this year, and booths from companies. It's going to be awesome. Last year was incredible. This year is going to be even better. So if you happen to be free, January 17th through 18th, come to the Astro Awards. We have the awards ceremony on Sunday, but Saturday is all-day panels, hanging out, lots of opportunities to meet other people, meet and greets with speakers and stuff like that too. So if you've ever wanted to meet Scott Manley, Joe Bernard, Zyla Foxlin, a couple of those kind of people in person, this is a great opportunity. So get your tickets for Astro Awards. Astroawards.live, Austin, Texas, January 17th and 18th. Hopefully we'll see you guys there. Like I said, the very top tickets are just about sold out. Those sold out right away last year as well, too. So if you want to do dinner and things like that, yeah, astroawards.live. Get your tickets. Okay, let's see if we have an update. Still on hold.
That we give is we allow students to send postcards to space and back.
So people, keep asking about the weather, too. Remember, they're saying, why is this such a big deal? It's at max Q, this thing is handling way higher loads than going through cloud. The biggest concern with clouds and weather is lightning. It's not the rain and stuff like that might have a consideration, on the body of the rocket, but the main primary consideration, the main worry is lightning, because now you have a conducting point. You're basically sending up a giant lightning rod into a lightning cloud if you launch right now. And that is bad. You have a place for an entrailed mix of exhaust going that connects down to the ground. It makes a really good conducting rod for lightning. So you need to avoid that. You don't want to avoid that. You need to avoid that. Obviously, Apollo 12 got struck by lightning twice. The SCE to aux situation, you've maybe heard of that, where they had to reset and go to the auxiliary power on their signal conditioning equipment. We have some precedents for rockets being hit by lightning, and does not work out great. So, yeah. So now we have rules that need to be followed, and that's exactly why we're seeing it held today. So, yeah, and I think people are asking as well about the flare stacks you see on the screen there, the fire. That's normal. That's basically as the propellants boil off. There's actually a flare stack for both the methane as it boils off from liquid to a gas. It expands, and then instead of venting it near the rocket, you vent it away from the rocket and you burn it so that it doesn't, you don't have this buildup of propellants. Same thing goes for the liquid hydrogen. It's just a lot harder to see. There's like no carbon. You don't have a light emitting source really in hydrogen. So as it's burnt off, it's transparent. At night, you can see a hydrogen flare better. But during the day, you really don't see a hydrogen flare stack. But you can see the methane flare stack because it's CH4. So there is carbon in there. You can see it burning off. But it ends up basically being water molecules and carbon. Let's see here. I'm going to have to do a side-by-side comparison of both launches. I really hope we get like a straight shot of the rocket launching so we can see the acceleration difference if it lumbers off the pad. Oh, that was a sick New Shepard model. Sorry, it's huge. So if it lumbers, if it goes off slowly off the pad again, I really want to know about it. So, let's see. Craig F.J. Do Lagrange points act like a mini virtual gravity well? Is there a higher risk of colliding with space debris which could have accumulated there? So, I mean, it's more just a balancing point because gravitational fields are aligned, and so you can kind of sit there and you don't have to do anything to be able to stay there. But it's not like it's not really a gravity well. You still have to go and you have to slow down and get into that point and aim at it. An asteroid or something flying through a Lagrange point would just pass right through it. It wouldn't be like, whoa, like a magnet or anything. So I don't think there's any higher risk at Lagrange points. Just the orbital mechanics work out that it's very energy efficient to sit in a Lagrange point, and you don't have to do station keeping to maintain your relative orbit in alignment with the Earth and the Sun, or Earth and the Moon, or whatever your two bodies are. It's just a way to kind of like balance out and hinge off of those bodies. So, pretty cool. Let's see here. It's saying that Blue Origin is stealing naming scheme from SpaceX. Never tell me the odds. I feel like Rocket Lab has kind of done they're almost more known for naming things a lot like that. So if anything, it's a nod to them. But I mean, all these companies do this. Like, this is normal these days. It's not anything novel to name that. So this is I think asking, will Isaacman Isaacman, IASSA. So will Jared, the new NASA administrator, work to get a new NERVA program? Yes, he's definitely talked about nuclear thermal and nuclear hybrid options, and he's talked about, that's what he wants NASA to be doing, is the stuff that like private companies can't really and don't really do. So nuclear, a lot of stuff like that. So I think that's awesome, because I think that's exactly what NASA should be doing, is like the next gen stuff that doesn't really have a commercial application, be doing the science that doesn't really have the commercial applications. The camera's still going. People are like, oh yeah, we still should be cheering. That's funny. So yeah, I'm curious what their launch window will look like here. Like I said, we do have basically 1 hour from right now left. Actually, exactly 1 hour left in this launch window. So they do have a little bit of time. Obviously, we'll hang out together and we will keep answering questions. Apogee 49, I loved your footage, supercuts of Starship test flights. Any plans to continuing them or expanding it to more rockets? Yeah, we definitely would love to be able to do it, like, say, out at, the Space Coast here. It's just that we have the access to be able to be close to the rocket, really close, even on public grounds, really close to the rocket at Starbase. That's why Starbase is unique. One of the reasons why it's been exciting for us rocket fans and for those of us that like to film rockets and make videos about rockets is because it's all right there in the open. So we can leave cameras, SpaceX lets us put them down at the pad. There's public parcels and privately owned parcels of land that we have cameras on that are really close, like a mile away or 1.6 kilometers away, versus out here at the Cape, Blue Origin might let you set down cameras, but you can't transmit data at the launch sites back, so you can't do that. If we're to run cameras elsewhere, you're like 15 miles away. Like, you're so much further away. We just really get spoiled at Starbase. That's why we have such spectacular views and have such additionally spectacular coverage is because of that unique position that Starbase is in. So unless because the Cape is, you know, a Space Force base, you can't just go leaving cameras wherever you want. It's a heavily guarded Space Force base. You can't just go leave a camera out there and not expect to go to jail, basically, because you'd be leaving stuff in a military base. So not cool. So let's see. You know, I love Formula One. That was incredible. Let's see. This is from this year was kind of boring in terms of rocket launches, don't you think? I disagree. We had 5 Starship launches. We had 2 New Glenn launches, or this will be the second New Glenn launch. We had more launches than ever. Like, if you compare this to any other year, really, the only thing is there wasn't as much necessarily novelty with Starship, and we had big explosions over the Caribbean. I'm hoping that that's in jest, because this is a really exciting year in terms of rocket launches, in my opinion. Not too many like firsts per se, except for New Glenn launching for the first time. But if it lands today, then this will be, I think, a huge year for spaceflight. Let's see. So Kitty Donahue, thank you so much for 65 months of membership. I think you said it already, but when does the launch window end? Yes, it's actually at local time. Would be sorry, I think it's 4:15. So you can see the local time there on your screen. So 4:15 p.m. would be the end of the launch window. Let's see here. All right, we're talking about Launch Complex. One thing to notice, by the way, this is on the Cape Canaveral side. This launch pad confuses me, and I don't know the reason for this. It's Launch Complex 36 and not Space Launch Complex 36, despite it being at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. And our normal, like the way it's normally talked about, is the normal naming convention is if it's a Cape Canaveral side of things, then it's Space Launch Complex. If it's a NASA side of things at Kennedy Space Center, technically, then it's typically Launch Complex 39A, 39B. So this one's, I don't quite know why it's like that, but it is. Let's see. Will the next transporter mission by SpaceX also get an exemption? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think if you exempt all of these, then what's the point of the daytime ban, basically, of commercial launches? So, I don't know. I just hope that, I think all of us want the government shutdown to end for sure, so that you know, the FAA can get paid again, and government employees in general can get paid again. It's definitely a mess right now, and I'm not enjoying this. So yeah, I hope that it does end soon for everyone's sake. No one wants this. Does rain make ice accumulate faster on the rocket? I don't know. I would imagine potentially. It's basically just even higher humidity, more water vapor to come in contact with a freezing structure. So maybe it would actually, potentially. I don't know by how much, but you'd think it could. Yeah. Let's see. We already answered that. Let's see. So Wesley asking, how would you describe the operational challenges of New Glenn's propellant loading sequences? How does it compare to Falcon or Electron? So as I mentioned a little bit ago, it is different from Falcon and Starship that kind of do a load and go procedure, where basically they fuel the rocket up, they use super chilled propellants. So the second that they're within like minutes of it being done fuel loading, Starship has a little window there where they can kind of, we've seen them like hold it a little bit at T-minus 40 seconds. And they have a few minutes there to be able to kind of play around with the launch window. But that's not something the Falcon 9, once the Falcon 9's loading has begun, oh, that's fun. I was like, what happened? But then I'm seeing they're showing, oh yeah, show that lunar lander. Let's go. But Falcon 9, as soon as it's beginning loading propellant, you're committed to that launch window because it's a load and go. So there's no like wiggle room. So if they have to scrub, it's done for the day. So they start loading this vehicle about 4 hours before launch, and it can sit there. It's quite different from what we're used to, and because it has hydrogen, you obviously have to be able to re-top off hydrogen. Hydrogen has a really low boiling point, so it boils off very easily. So that second stage uses hydrogen, so they have to have enough reserves and enough ground infrastructure to be able to continually top that off. So Let's see.
file. But while we're in this hold and we're working out weather, let's go ahead and send it back over to the rocket and just sit with NG2.
Okay, so they're not giving up yet. Like I said, they have just under an hour left in their launch window. I'm keeping my eye on that clock though, so if it moves, we're going, or hopefully going. If New Glenn is powered by cryogenics, why do they not run into the same problems as Starship when holding where the propellants warm up? How are they able? So that's based on like their ground tanks. So New Glenn, you know, it's easy to remember, or it's important to remember, I mean, that Starship, even the launch pads so far have been, you know, more on the experimental side, and more on like a minimum viable product. And so they don't have these huge reserves at Starbase where you can load up Starship and have plenty of reserves. And they kind of do this dance of like, if you keep topping off Starship, then you drain your reserves on the ground side, and then you can't have a launch attempt the next day because you have to replenish. So it's a little bit of a dance of like, you know, maybe there are opportunities to hold longer at Starbase, but then you have compromises. So out here, I think they just have a bigger set of reserves on the ground side of things to be able to condition and keep the vehicle at operational temperatures and pressures. So let's see. I can't remember, did New Glenn... Yeah, I think NG won the first launch. Pretty sure it scrubbed a whole day. It definitely moved in the launch window because I remember it was getting later and later. I remember I was West Coast and it was really late. What was I out there? Oh, yeah, I was out there for the Mark Rober launch. That was crazy. That was, yeah, middle of the night kind of thing. Cheesecake is the best pie. If you know, you know, from NSF. Oh, I love it. Yep. Let's see. From Game Brett. I hope both teams have fun. I hope both teams have fun too. I hope that all, you know, anyone working in aerospace. I have friends that work all over the aerospace industry in so many different capacities for so many different companies. And at the end of the day, if you don't love what you're doing, then I think you're in the wrong business. But everyone I know does love what they do, and that's why they stick with it. So, Jets 115 wants to know how tall the rocket is. It's 95 meters, so like 320 feet tall. It's very, very big. It's almost as tall as the Saturn V. The Saturn V is 105 meters tall, or about 105 meters tall. So, it's darn close to the size of the Saturn V. And the size, the diameter of it, you know how the Saturn V, I don't know if I have one very visible, not really. You know how the Saturn V kind of tapers up. So the Saturn V was 10 meters wide at the base on the S1C, the first stage. The second stage, the S2, was also 10 meters wide, but then it tapered down to 7 meters for the S4B and the upper stage fairing, or the fairing that held the lunar lander. And that's how wide this vehicle is. It's 7 meters wide, so very cool. Ooh.
Currently in a hold at about the L-20 minute mark. And I got an update for you guys. We're waiting on weather. You might be looking at that and be like, the weather looks pretty good, Tabitha. And I'd be like, you're right. It's looking a lot better, huh? Well, we're also chasing some boats out of the way.
Oh, no.
There are some boats that are essentially being told, hey, you're in our flight path. You got to get out of here. They should have known that to begin with, but that's just one of the other things that you deal with when you deal with rocket launches.
Tabitha, I'm gonna try to see the silver lining in this, or I'm gonna try to be the ever optimist that I am. Last time we had this launch, we also had an errant boat in our in our flight path. And we had a pretty spectacular launch, and we put our payload, got to orbit, we filled our objective. So I'm going to call this a good luck omen.
A good luck. You know, speaking of good luck omens, yesterday, me, you, and our very own Eddie Seyfert, we were headed out to the launch pad, and we saw a tortoise crossing the road. And if you didn't know, tortoises are a part of our coat of arms, and we find them as a sign of good luck. So Eddie, you are out there, you are with employees, you're at the best spot to see the rocket launch. But let's talk about something serious for a second. Let's talk about how hard it is to land the booster. For those of you who don't know, you probably do know if you're watching this webcast, on our first attempt, we weren't able to land the booster, but we were able to get our payload into orbit. Today, our big objective, aside from getting our payload into orbit, which is ESCAPADE, is we want to land our booster. Never tell me the odds, and I like the name of that booster, so I want to keep it. So, Eddie, how hard is that?
Well, so first off, thank you for your patience. The weather here is looking a little better. The boats, as Ariane said last time, definitely safety is our highest priority. And the tortoise, for me, a sign of good luck. I mean, I think it's just a trifecta of signs that we're ready to not just launch ESCAPADE to space successfully, but to land this booster. So we learned a lot. Nothing substitutes flight data. So the GS1 booster, after it separates from the GS2 upper stage, it does a 180-degree flip maneuver so that the aft section is facing backwards, or basically back down to Earth, but in the flight path. And so that 180-degree maneuver is conducted by our reaction control system. They're peroxide monothrusters. We call them the severe weather agility thrusters. And those worked perfectly last time. We did the maneuver. And then the BE4 engine goes for reignition. So the 3 center engines reignite what we call the exo-atmospheric re-entry burn. And its entire purpose is to slow down the GS1 as it re-enters the atmosphere so that its superior aerodynamic performance, those long strakes, those forward fins, can guide the GS1 booster over the Jacqueline.
Yeah, Eddie, thank you for such a good explanation for our viewers at home, because it took a little bit for me to understand too exactly. I'm like, why is it so difficult? And it's like, Tabitha, it's pretty difficult. And I'm like, yeah, it's like when you watch the Olympics and you watch someone run fast, you're like, oh, I can do that. It's like, no, you can't. It's actually quite difficult. So, thank you, Eddie, for that great explanation. Again, we are currently in a hold. You are watching NG2, our webcast here. We are at about L-20 minutes. We're going to toss it right back over to the rocket. New Glenn is on the pad. It is feeling cool. It is looking cool. And it is literally, Ariane, very cool right now.
Cool. Yeah. Just in case, maybe they need this from me. I haven't done a pointy end up, flaming end down check, and this is a great shot for that. As you can tell by the orientation of the nose and the flaming end of the booster, this pointy end is up, the flaming end is down. They thereby have my visual assessment, years of training. I think that's what they're waiting on. JTemp65, thank you for becoming a member. Let's see. This is, we've been talking a lot about the holds. Why are they holding at such a weird time? So this is, the hold time here is not a built-in hold. This is not an intentional hold. What we're seeing is them having to put the vehicle into hold because of constraints like weather while they reconfigure and figure out when they can launch. And right now they're holding because of a wayward boat or wayward boats. Again, watch my latest video. There's 27,000 of you. I guarantee not all 27,000 of you have watched my latest video. I can tell because it's actually not performing that well, because I think a lot of you didn't like my thumbnail. That was not AI. I literally took a picture with a giant button, and I did do like the Mr. Beast face though. And everyone hated it. You all told me a lot about how much you hate it. But sadly these days you kind of just have to go with the algorithm and like what, so we see it on the back end on YouTube. I'm going to give you guys a little, we have time. Going to give you a little back end. So we have like an A/B test. You might see that thumbnails and stuff change a lot for creators these days. It's really annoying. I hate this game that we have to play. But that's the reality, is like if your video doesn't perform. I spent 3 months making that video, you know, flew out, actually ended up driving out to the West Coast, to Vandenberg. You know, spent a ton of time in the edit on this one in particular. And, you know, if my video, if the thumbnail can make it get double, triple, quadruple the views and therefore return on investment, like of course you're going to play around with the thumbnail to make it perform the best you can. That's my job. And especially a video like this where it's talking about the range, a good high quality video that people are receiving for free about a subject matter they hopefully care a lot about, and a lot of questions, common questions that we get in these live streams every single time. Seems like a valuable video to me. So yeah, obviously I play around with the thumbnail, do the A/B test. Sadly, the A/B test performed really well with the stupid Mr. Beast style launch button thing. I removed it, and actually it ended up, it's doing all right. Like, it's doing all right, but I still would like to see more of the 28,000 of you now go watch that video after this launch. So just a reminder, if you have questions about the range, what the weather conditions are, who's deciding these things about boats and planes and trains out at Vandenberg, all that kind of stuff. It's just one of those videos that's a resource for the community, because you know, we all watch these rocket launches. We all enjoy seeing these, and there's common questions, and this is to kind of help make and informed. And I always like to throw in the little details about like, the SE to aux type of stuff and all those fun things. So it's hopefully always worth you watching. Just a little heads up on what's going to be coming up. I'll just give you guys a little taste of fun things that I'm working on. So there's literally like 3 or 4 edits that we're currently working on. One is we have a tour with a company that we're waiting on the approvals and stuff like that to be finishing up and working on. That'll be coming up before the end of the year for sure. We have a tour of all of our gear and all of our, like how we do the live streams down at Starbase with all the tracking cameras and everything that you guys always ask about. So that will be coming out before the end of the year. We have a video where I walk around the rocket garden in the Kennedy Space Center with Scott Manley and James from Project Air and Joel from the channel Antegza. We just kind of walk around Kennedy Space Center together and nerd out about all the vehicles there and a lot of the hardware stuff. So that video is going to be really fun. Just a casual video, and hopefully just learn a lot of nerdy stuff about the rockets at Kennedy Space Center and some of the just nerdy stuff about rockets in general, because obviously you're with a bunch of nerds. That'll be a lot of fun. And then I'm working on a 22 pages so far on a video about like kind of what can we do in the Artemis program to get humans on the moon? Can we fulfill both goals of being sustainable and being able to actually not have this be a rug pull like footprints and flagstaffs, boots and flags mission and just one and done and you're back and then it gets canceled? Or can we make it sustainable? Or can we actually beat China back to the moon, who's looking to land on the moon by 2030? So can those two things not compete with each other? And what options do we have? Can New Glenn play a part? Can it replace SLS? Can Falcon Heavy? Can Starship? What options do we have in this new space economy? And I literally go over like everything and Frankenstein rockets with like New Glenn's upper stage on SLS to not have to use the exploration upper stage. Let's see.
Right now, you can see New Glenn out there on the pad.
Okay, not an update yet. But yeah, there's so many things. And also, I've been working on finally finishing up my stupid album. A lot of people are asking when new music is coming out. I've been working on an album for almost 2 years. Very heavily working on it since the summer. Just actually been carving time out. Been in the studio. If you're on Instagram, you can find I have an Everyday Astronaut Music Instagram, so you can get little sneak peeks there, kind of some of the behind the scenes of the recording process, which has been really, really fun. Recording in a really cool space here. It's been awesome. It's been soul filling, and I've been very excited because it's been fun to actually produce a proper album as opposed to like all the music that's come out before. It's been like when I have time, I'll like boop, 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 here's a little music boop, and then I put it in videos or whatever. This has been like I'm gonna actually record properly and spend time on it, and it's been really fun. So and I'll be playing those at Astro Awards live. So if you want to see that and see Scott Manley DJ, another reason to go to Astro Awards. Let's see here. This is Christian saying, hey, from Sweden, what are your thoughts on launching Starlink-like CubeSats from the Swedish spaceport just north of the Arctic Circle? Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are launch wherever it makes sense to launch. It doesn't make sense to launch, from Sweden if you're trying to get into any kind of low inclination orbit, like a non-polar orbit. That's where those northern latitudes make sense. Obviously, logistics come into play. Like, are there companies that it's easy to get the rocket to the launch pad? Is that easier than doing a launch pad in, say, in Norway or the Shetland Islands? Or, like, where makes the most sense? That's all that matters to me. My thoughts are, does it make sense for a particular use case? If yes, cool, do it. Is it competitive? Does it offer advantages of, like, lower air traffic considerations, lower... northern latitudes are basically only good for polar orbits, so does it make sense from that northern latitude to launch from anything else without overflying land or blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, my thoughts are, I love seeing launches. Like, the first launch of ESAR Space from Norway was, oh my god, gorgeous. Like, so stupidly beautiful. But that's not a good enough reason to launch. That's not a reason to launch a rocket, is because it looks beautiful. And obviously, ESAR has their own considerations on why they launch from up there. So they obviously have a pretty good deal worked out where it's, hopefully cost effective for them to be able to do that, because it is a long trek to be able to get all the way up there from Germany for them. So they build outside of Munich. It's quite the haul. So Let's see. This is hi Tim, using 2 Falcon 9 boosters as side boosters on a Starship on Moon and Mars missions to reduce refueling. Any thoughts? You're adding a lot of complication. Basically, SpaceX already learned the hard way that they don't love Falcon. Falcon Heavy barely launches. Like, it's launched, what, 10 times or whatever so far, you know, a dozen times. Or not even. I don't know. Basically, Falcon Heavy, they realized, wow, it's a lot harder to just to strap rockets together and do the recovery than it is to just make a bigger rocket. So that's what Starship's doing, is making a bigger rocket. The refueling of a vehicle in space, if this all works out, is absolutely trivial. It does not matter. It's the easiest thing compared to almost any other option. Like, we all get hung up on, oh my gosh, it might take like 15, you know, launches to fill up Starship to be able to do these lunar missions and to do Mars missions. Like, what the heck? But we're in a world right now where 15 launches is still pretty, you know, pretty high launch cadence. But imagine if we had said 10 years ago, before SpaceX had landed a booster, saying, hey, in order for this to make sense, you have to land the booster 30 times. And people would be like, come on, that'll never happen. Like, that's stupid. Like, you could never bet on that. And now today, 10 years later, we went from never having seen a booster landing to a booster flying 30 times. And that's just something we couldn't imagine. It just seemed outside of the realm of like what was reasonable. And so, you know, to see SpaceX going from nothing to 30 launches from a single booster in less than a decade should help you understand what we're hoping to see with Starship. If they're saying they're going to be able to launch, you know, land the booster, refuel it, and fly again within 24 hours or up to, you know, multiple times a day even eventually, they have some ground to stand on when they make those claims. They have proven that they can do things that people said were impossible. And they're designing this vehicle. That's why they're doing all these test flights, because they're not settling with, okay, whatever. And the important thing to remember, too, this is actually an important thing, I need to put this in my video, is that Starship's high flight cadence, if it's not fully and rapidly reusable, like let's say it does take 3 to 6 months to refurbish a Starship upper stage, that can actually be okay if you have enough vehicles. Like, if you have, let's say 6 months worth of, it takes 6 months to refurbish a Starship. I don't think it will. Let's say 3 months times 30, 90. Let's say if you have a fleet of 100 Starship vehicles, which now they're building huge factories, and another factory, you know, a factory in Texas, a factory in Florida, 100 Starship vehicles, that could be done in a few years already, like at their pace that they're starting to produce vehicles. Then you could just literally have a queue of refurbishment, and you could still be flying literally every day. So it's not like the space shuttle, where the space shuttle, they thought they could fly, you know, all the time because they have this airliner-like vehicle. It's just reusable, and they land it. When you only have 5 orbiters, and not all 5 were, you know, operational at the same time either, or a very small window. Let me think about that. Yeah, not all 5 were ever in the fleet. Anyway, when you don't have a large fleet, you're also stuck with those long refurbishment times being your reason, like how often you can launch, basically. So but I expect that as SpaceX continues to iterate, and because they have this big factory, that they'll be able to figure out what things are failing, how to improve upon those, and they will eventually get it to be able to be like, hey, we're launching 2-3 times a day, and they're going to have 2 pads at Texas, 4 or 5 pads in Florida. These pads are going to be popping up very quickly, and seeing a launch cadence of multiple times a day very quickly will go from impossible to completely routine. So I give it a few years still. I give it 3 or 4 years, but I think by 2030 already we'll have days of multiple Starship launches easily. So that's kind of my perspective on this stuff. Yeah. This is from Ergendian Random 90. Tim, you radiate pure passion. The way you honor every team shows what space is really about. Wonder, unity, and the love for the stars. Absolutely. Thank you. That is the whole point. Is like, we're not getting there with just one company doing one thing. We're learning more. We're expanding our own engineering chops when all these companies are doing something new and unique. This vehicle is completely different. There's nothing in common besides the Methalox, fuel, the propellant on board with Starship. And that's great, because what if Starship has an innate problem that grounds it? What if you know, you don't want all your eggs in one basket. And as we go and try to explore more, get deeper into space and get humans off to Mars and get humans back on the moon, and want to send huge telescopes to be able to do even better observations of our own universe. I mean, you want all this. It would be such a shame to not be cheering for all of these companies to do the best they can and to further our own species. So that's what it's all about. So this is a good question. Rogelio wants to know, why is it okay for an airplane that can be struck by lightning and be okay, but a rocket will lose its avionics? So there's a few things. First off, a plane struck by lightning isn't always a great thing either. But the big thing is that it's not necessarily attached to the ground. So the exhaust, planes fly around for so long that becomes a huge, long exhaust trail that does not connect the plane to the ground. Ground lightning is a lot worse than like in-cloud lightning. There can be a lot higher discharge there. So I think that's the big concern, is that if your exhaust is attached from the rocket up into a lightning cloud and it gets struck, there's a lot more energy there. Compared to, when a plane gets struck by lightning, it's normally just cloud to cloud, blah, blah, blah. I don't know a lot about this, but I think that's one of the big concerns. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Someone said Blue Origin needs to stop being so secretive. I actually follow Blue Origin, on social media. They actually post a ton, and especially leading up to this campaign, the last 2 or 3 months, they've been sharing a ton of stuff. I just don't think people are paying attention to it. Like, I don't think they're being that secretive. I think they're actually being quite open. It's up to us to pay attention, though. If you're not actively paying attention to what they're working on, then yeah, everything's a secret. But I actually think they're doing a really good job. Let's see. This is from, thank you for the super chat. Any updated plans to do a new tour and interview with Elon? I would really love if you could do a Moon and Mars infrastructure with him and construction of maybe a full orbital permanent refill tank. So that's definitely, they're going to be doing a tanker for sure. A dedicated depot tanker. Sorry, not a tanker, dedicated depot that's in orbit. With these interviews that I've done with any CEO, like, it's not really about me reaching out to them, it's about them reaching out to me. So when I've done the interviews with Elon, it's a coordinated thing, typically on Elon's and SpaceX's side. I'm always down to talk about rockets and aerospace with people. I love paying attention to, obviously, all the things going on here. I loved my interview with Bezos at Blue Origin. Recently did another interview with someone that I'll tell you guys more about in a little bit. A very exciting company. And the last full tour of Starbase with Elon, it was a year and a half ago now. A lot has changed since then. A lot has changed. And it'd be really fun to be able to see those behind-the-scenes things. So I just never know. Literally, actually, ironically, I found out the last time I was doing the Elon tour, I was on my way, like literally 20 minutes from sitting inside this building that they're showing right now to interview Jeff Bezos. I didn't even know I was going to be interviewing Elon that time and doing that tour. I found out on X, on Twitter, that was happening. So that was very funny. Let's see. Says Season Vac, I'm sorry that you feel that I came off as a massive douche when I asked a question. But the reason was there wasn't video of him talking about those things. So the questions that I asked were particular for my Apollo video that I've been working on for a long time. I'm sorry if I came off as a, quote, massive douche. It was just an opportunity to be able to get it on camera. Some of those were common questions, but they weren't widely known because it was an opportunity for him to be able to tell these stories on camera and be able to use them as a valid source as opposed to a hearsay and things like that we had heard. So I'm sorry that you felt that way. We also weren't supposed to do questions, Q&A. We don't have mics in the audience, and we didn't have a system for that. So the plan was originally for me to, so me coming out and seeming like, oh, hey, hold on, oh, actually, was just kind of because we got thrown off. So sorry if it felt that way. I apologize. Let's see. Writing from the engine factory in Huntsville. There is quite a lot of your merch here. Thanks for all your coverage. Godspeed, NG2, Go Blue. That is awesome. Hey, huge shout out to any employees that are watching this right now that have worked on this mission. And we're obviously here cheering for you. And we have a countdown timer going again. Hey. that is right at the end of the launch window, I believe. So I'm going to change our clock to be, hang on.
New L time, which is L minus 28 minutes and about 30 seconds. Now, to keep you guys updated, we know that the weather is now clear. You're like, all right, that's some good news, right? Well, we have also learned that the launch team is looking into an issue with our ground support equipment at the pad. So we wanted to give you an update on that. And of course, we're going to keep monitoring everything happening around NG2.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when you look at a rocket, you're like, oh, the rocket's going to go. There is a lot of engineering that also goes into the ground systems. That's the ground system of the pad. That is the ground systems for the telemetry and the communications. We need to be tracking the vehicle. But like out there on the pad, that pad actually is a feat of engineering in its own right. In fact, this Launch Complex 36, we were talking about it earlier in the webcast, it's been used as a launch complex for decades before us. But we
Great history,
but we basically cleared it out and built it back up again. The amount of power, data, propellants, all these lines that are going up there. You see the two towers, the one on the right will eventually have crew coming off of it. Slightly off the shot to the left, we've got the water tower. There you got a kind of a back out view so you can see a little bit more. There's a lot that goes on out there. We've got this huge, what we call our propellant farm. There's a lot that goes on out there. So we need that to also be working and working properly and in right conditions to keep the rocket ready to go as it ticks down. And then when we will turn, obviously, the show, if you will, over to the rocket. But in the meantime, there's a lot of work happening in the ground system. So if something is out of line, pressure, data, power, that then could translate down the line, down the pipes, literally, to the rocket, we have to check it out. So our team is on it. But, we do have a little bit of time here to do so. But it looks like the weather might be clearing up. You live here in Florida. This is wild. How do you put up with this?
Minutes. It just keeps on a constant rotation. But I will say, it is great to see NG2 on the pad, ready to go. You know what they say, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen out there. And so right now, I'm going to toss it back over. Again, you are watching the webcast of NG2. We're at L minus 26 minutes before this historic launch.
All right, so they're trying for it, but as I mentioned, they might have some ground support equipment issues on the vehicle, so or on the pad. So that's not ideal. Oh no, there's a bird on the landing platform. You might want to be gone in about 33 minutes, but we'll find out. Sometimes that ground support stuff, a lot of times it's literally like a sticky valve or something, and just like cycling it can help out. Stopping flow can help out. There's things they can do, but yeah, we'll have to see. It's not always a great thing when that happens. Let's see here. Oh, I didn't remove the clock hold. Sorry, let me fix that. Hang on, my bad. Okay, did that fix? Maybe I have to do this, and it might work. Okay, 1 second. 1 second. I will have it fixed. And there we go. All right, so. Oh, man, where are we at? I'm hoping 24 minutes. So this, by the way, that launch time right now is not quite at the very end of their window. It's close to the end of the window, but I believe it's just short of the end of the window. So I think there's a few extra minutes there. But, oh, man. And then we don't know if they can even have the opportunity to fly tomorrow during the day because of that whole FAA thing. So, okay, let's see here. Let's see. Flight Sim Dev wants to know, do you think if Elon will ever get on his own rocket? I think so. I think he would someday fly on a SpaceX vehicle. I don't think he has any problems with it, obviously. They're been extremely successful with their human spaceflight program so far. By the way, it looks like from this angle the rocket's on fire. That is not the rocket on fire. That is the ground support equipment. But I just feel like Elon has spoken very little interest in actually flying. I I think it's just a personal, like, he just doesn't really care that much. I think he's got a lot of things going on. Caleb Allen says, became a member. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Eric Cleveland says, I've never seen a launch in person before, but I'd love to fly down and see one next year. How can I up my odds of watching one and not missing it because of delays, scrubs, use more vacation days? So the idea is definitely if you go to Florida is your best bet, because Florida tends to launch at this point, like literally almost, every 2 or 3 days, you're very likely to see a rocket launch. So the idea is, I think, just try to book out, a vacation, try to do it for a week. You'd be hard pressed to not catch a launch in a week. Like it'd be impressive. It'd probably be a thing like an FAA shutdown or something that would cause issues like that. Other than that, I mean, there's so many flights happening. Yeah, so many things happening. It'd be impressive. Let's see here. Shady Shadow wants to know, do I personally prefer the classic heritage style rocket designs like Atlas, Delta, Saturn, or the more unique modern concepts like Starship or New Shepard? It's fun. I think it's really fun to see new vehicles. I think, if you look at like the interior of New Shepard, or if you look at how HLS is shaping to look for Starship, or even how Dragon Crew looks, it looks futuristic. It looks like the future. And it looks modern. I do appreciate that. For today, I don't like if you see something that doesn't feel like it's pushed the boundaries to being a futuristic vehicle. That being said, when like I said, I went to Kennedy Space Center last weekend, and I was with Scott Manley and James and Joel, and walking around the rocket garden and seeing the hardware. Man, I do get inspired, and I have some very serious feels when I get to see hardware up close and personal from that era. It's so hard not to be impressed, and it's so hard to not just think like, how could they have figured all this out on some relatively primitive technology. It's absolutely incredible. So I enjoy that aesthetic for sure. And I love like the old text and stuff they used to use. And in general, I guess I'm actually going to say I prefer, if you're talking about purely visually, I think I prefer looking at old vintage hardware like that. It's just, there's something exciting about it. So what's the difference between T and L? So typically a T countdown, so L is supposed to be launch countdown, and T minus would be like your time countdown. For SpaceX, T and L are the same thing. They don't really have, they don't really have a difference there. For a more traditional rocket like the like ULA and Atlas and missile-derived rockets, we'll say, they tended to have a countdown sequence where they're going through all these checklists and stuff, and then they would put it into a hold, and then when it lined up, they'd have like a 4-minute automated sequence. And so that's when, at that point, the T, after that, when they come out of that hold, the T minus count and the L minus would be in a line. But yeah, this is not necessarily that. Let's see. This is YouTube has stopped giving me notifications for your videos, even though I have the bell on. If I hadn't searched for New Glenn stream, I wouldn't have known you were streaming. I have this problem a ton, guys. This has been detrimental for the channel, frankly, is that people will literally search like, Starship launch. And even though we'll be at the top, like we will have the most views of people watching live, we'll be like the 15th result for Starship launch. Or right now, I'll bet if you search, I'm going to open up a browser, an incognito browser, and just search. If you just search New Glenn launch, I'll bet we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're the 5th one down, and we have the most people watching. Like, what is going on, YouTube? What is going on? That's so disappointing. I guess 2 of them are ads, though. And it makes sense. Actually, we're behind. We're only behind NASA, or like in the search criteria, we're below NASA Spaceflight and Spaceflight Now, who stream very often. So maybe YouTube then, gives them the like, here, these are what people are often watching because they're streaming very, very often. So, yeah, honestly, the best thing you guys can do is throw a like. There's only 3,900 likes. Like this, there's 28,000 to be watching. Maybe that will help the algorithm remind itself that I exist, and that despite us not having a hugely massive upload frequency and we don't stream every day, we do still exist. I am still working very hard on videos. That is actually one of the reasons I now do publish to Nebula. I don't know if you guys watch Nebula. But yeah, I talk about it in my most recent video. The algorithm has absolutely screwed us. I mean, it's been bad. It's been very bad. Which is why like other platforms like Nebula, I think are really important because they're like hand curated, and they're not algorithmically based, which has been not ideal. And it's with YouTube just pushing shorts like crazy. Like, who cares? Shorts. I have a short that has like 48 million views or something stupid, or 70 million views, and it's made like $200 or something. It's like you will never make a living off of shorts. We can't pay our crew of people to go down to a rocket launch to make a bunch of shorts and expect to not lose $10,000. Like, it's absolutely moronic. So thank you for those of you that have supported us and liked, and the super chats and the Patreon support and all those things and the YouTube memberships. That's the only reason we're able to do this, as the ever fickle algorithm has kind of changed. We used to get, every video we would publish would get 100 to 500,000 views basically. And now like we're lucky to even break 100,000, it seems like. And yeah, it's been not ideal. And the worst thing is like videos that were published used to just by default still get like 10, 20, 30,000 views per like 48 hours. And now like it's like 1,000 or 500. The YouTube just does not put out like recommend old videos anymore. And like I try to make evergreen content. So, the Soviet rocket engine video, the how to start a rocket engine, all these videos that are evergreen, YouTube just doesn't even show people anymore because they're like, oh, that's old. Make something new. So like, why wouldn't I just sit there and republish the same video over and over if they're going to play that game? It's so annoying to me. Sorry, rant over. Thank you so much, 4K Aircraft Live, for becoming a member. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, Epic Sandstorm. Zach Berry, yeah, that was a dumb penalty. We're not going to talk Formula One here, though, although we have plenty of time because we're just hanging out. Oh.
Also pending weather. This is the go pull for final configs and terminal count. GC.
GC is go pending retraction of LVHD10.
LC1.
LC1 is no go pending day of launch PDI load.
Understand you are a go pending the load. LC2.
LC2 is go.
LSO.
Go.
OSM.
Go with the exception of weather.
RC.
Go.
ESR.
ESR go pending LVHD and PDI.
AC.
Go pending LVHD retraction.
Recovery.
Go.
GLI.
Go.
BMD.
Go.
GC, LC1, LC2. Perform final configurations for terminal count. Report when ready for terminal count gate checks.
LC2 copy.
Oh, this is RC and count 1.
GC copy.
Go ahead, RC.
A lot of potential sea surveillance violation with a cruise ship. We're still working on Coast Guard to make contact. I'll give you an update as soon as I have it.
LD copies.
Few things going on here. Cruise ship is violating the range, sounds like, and
So you just heard the go pulled there.
hydraulic issue.
It seems like a conditional go according to the weather. So we are going to continue to our terminal count, and we're going to continue to also keep an eye on the weather. So lots of things that we are tracking at this moment in time.
I think we should note there just a second. So first of all, our launch director, Megan Lewis, that lady is a boss.
Yes.
She is fantastic. There's a lot of things to coordinate there, and you heard various teams giving their go, no go, and go pending. And obviously we have to track a lot, especially in these last 15 minutes, and her job in that room is to coordinate. You saw the people in the front room, but then there's also essentially what's like an engineering support room in the back.
Yeah.
So that they go off and they track things, they run things down and report back on making these clears. So they are go pending because they want to launch this rocket, and they think that there's still a chance here. So more drama.
Yeah, we're excited. This has been quite the show. As you are watching in G2, we're at L-14 minutes, but in order to build a road to space for the benefit of Earth, we've got to radically reduce the cost of access to space by having our reusable rockets. So here's everything that you need to know about New Glenn.
All So, and everything you need to know about New Glenn. So I think, so they're talking about a hydraulic retraction issue as well. I couldn't tell what they were saying. I kind of missed it, but I think it's literally one of those retraction points that they just showed on the transporter vector. So the thing that stands the rocket up right here, like that, one of these hydraulic connections, I think they're having issues that there might be like low hydraulic pressure. They're seeing a reading that they don't like. So pending that is able to safely retract and do what they need to do for it, maybe like, I don't know if you're, when you watch a Falcon 9 mission, the Strongback has a claw basically that holds onto the fairing, and you can see that retract and open up, and then the Strongback leans away a little bit. So I think some of the talk I was hearing in the go no go poll was about assuming it would be a scrub condition if they can't get that to do whatever it needs to do. But if that does work out and they hit the command and hey, it opens up and does the retraction or whatever it needs to do, okay, then they are go to proceed. So we heard a few things like go pending that or no go pending the hydraulic issue or whatever it was. So there's that plus currently a wayward cruise ship. So they are fighting two potential scrub issues, but weather now is clear, which is great. We want the weather to be clear. So that's a good sign. So hopefully in the cruise ship stuff, like a lot of times that stuff just kind of works out. The cruise ship ends up getting out of the the violated area. They're likely being radio contacted by the Coast Guard. In some cases, we see a helicopter fly out there and like literally try to get the captain's attention and be like directly communicating to smaller boats about like you are in violation of range. Oh, that is sick. It's crazy that it's gonna have 3 BE-7s. That's a big vehicle. You can kind of see the people inside the windows there. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. By the way, you won't, that render, it's a classic rendering mistake. You will not be able to see the flames like that on the moon. There's no atmosphere. Hydrogen burns extremely clear anyway. So in the absence of an atmosphere, it'll continue to be extremely transparent. So you will not be able to see that. You will see it when it interacts with the lunar regolith. That will burn up and you'll see that, but you won't see it likely coming out of the exhaust, the engines at all. If there was, if we have other cameras to be able to watch a landing like that or an eventual takeoff like that as well. So Andrew Romash, we did talk a little bit about this, about why planes tend to be able to be struck by lightning and rockets not. The other thing to remember is rockets are entirely like full of fuel, like they're made out of fuel with just some skin on it, that's another consideration as well. But I think the big thing is the fact that the rocket exhaust creates a trail of excited molecules and a place for the lightning to be able to attach to the ground. And that's the big concern. Whereas planes don't generally do that. Maybe right at takeoff they could. Let's see. Maybe we'll get it.
To go from New Glenn's second launch. And Tabitha, you recently had the chance to chat with our CEO, Dave Limp, about NG2 and what this mission means for science, but also for Blue Origin.
I certainly did. It was so great to be able to sit down and actually talk with him. And I think you guys are going to be surprised to learn just how much of this moment has really been building up over time and how even when he was a child, Dave himself had an interest in space. Check it out. This is a really big moment for Blue Origin. Can you tell me how NG2 compares to NG1?
Yeah, I think NG1 was obviously our first mission. There was lots to learn, and we did learn a lot, and unbelievably successful in that we made our goal, which was to get to orbit. This time we're going to be a little bit more ambitious, and we want to not only get to orbit, but we have our first paying customer this time with ESCAPADE and get them off to Mars. That's the first part of our goal, and then the second part of the goal is to land the booster out on Jacqueline. And if we don't, we have more over here in the factory that we're building, but we're going to give it our best shot.
Never Tell Me the Odds is pretty fitting for this booster. We are taking our second attempt at landing it for the first time. How are you going to feel if we land it?
Well, I certainly will not channel my inner C-3PO. I will be very ecstatic. I'll be on pins and needles up to that point, but it would be a huge achievement for the team and for Blue. I think that we have a good chance, but if we don't, like I said, we can build more, but I will be over the moon if it happens.
Now, New Glenn is obviously just one of the many systems we have here, right? We have New Shepard, we have Lunar, we have in-space systems. How are all of those organizations really working together to further our ultimate goals?
Yeah, I think each component of what we do has a piece of trying to get millions of people to work and live in space, and they all have their individual. But as it relates to this particular mission, a huge amount of people have put work into it. Obviously, our engines team in building both the engines for the booster, the BE-4s, and the BE-3Us for the upper stage. We also have a huge amount of work by the obviously New Glenn team building this vehicle, but also New Shepard has been a pathfinder. So all our avionics fly on New Shepard first, so that we can get a sense of what's going on there and get a sense what it's like to have flight-ready hardware. And so it takes a whole team, and it's a very big cross-functional effort across Blue.
We have more than 10,000 employees here that are very excited about this moment. I'm one of them. What is your message to those who are going to be watching our webcast and be watching NG2 take to the skies?
Well, I think everybody will be a little bit on pins and needles, I'm sure. But I would say that this is a culmination of a lot of work from a lot of teams. It's not the end point of our journey. Obviously, we have a lot more rockets to make and a lot more customers to make happy as we move forward. But to the extent we're successful here, I hope everybody at Team Blue takes a pause, smiles a bit, celebrates, because it'll be a great achievement for us. And we'll take that deep breath, we'll sort of embrace the moment and then move on, because we have a lot of customers waiting for us to succeed. And there's nothing that makes you happier in business and in your life when you see the smile on customers' faces.
Did you ever think that you would be doing something like this in your career when you're watching your rockets launch? No?
No, not in a million years. I was very happy making Fire TVs and Echoes, but it is a boyhood dream, and so to be able to have it, I kind of pinch myself every day and just amazed that I get to wake up and help this and lead this amazing team of people build incredible technology like New Glenn.
I mean, and in reference to that, one of the first things they ask you when you come onto Blue Origin is, what is your first memory of space? What is your first memory of space?
Yeah, I have a lot of pictures. It turned out my third, fourth, and fifth birthday, I have these old Polaroids of the cake, and they all have rockets on it. I was enamored with rockets as a kid, and never took the path where I thought I'd be running a rocket or a rocket company, but it turns out that it was very early in my life that I had a lot of love for it.
And we're so grateful to have you here at the helm. Dave, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I should give a shout out to Dave's social media, because he does a really good job of sharing a lot of updates. People were saying the Blue's secretive. Pay attention to Dave's Instagram and X posts and stuff. He actually posts a lot and really cool stuff.
In G2, we are at L minus under 6 minutes, and we have to tell you guys, right now we are tracking a cruise ship that is in the area and closely tracking weather, as we heard in the go poll. But my understanding is that by the time it comes to our moment of launch, that cruise ship should be out of the way. But we're still keeping our eyes on that weather, Ariane.
Absolutely. But with that, we're under 6 minutes to go. Let's go out to Eddie, because you realize we're about 5 minutes to go from the launch. Eddie, how's everybody feeling out there?
Yeah, it is hype out here. We are so excited to be at less than 5 minutes before launch. We're excited to be here.
Eddie, is that guy on a chicken? A rooster?
Yeah, we got Rooster, and the flag. Everybody say hi to Rooster. ESCAPADE, and this is the team that's launching the rocket today. They helped build it.
Amazing. They are absolutely psyched. What we're waiting for here is a go, no go, a final go, no go. We're bringing this down to the minute on this one. We want to launch before our window, so we're waiting on the team to determine if that's way to go.
Oh, Eddie. Let's go Blue. Let's go Blue. Thank you so much. We are hyped. They are hyped. Since we are at essentially L minus 4 minutes, let's go ahead and toss it back over to the rocket right now.
No. Right when they say it, hold. Oh, there is 3 minutes. They might just be pushing it back to the very back of their launch window to make sure that cruise ship is out of the way. I hope this isn't that hydraulic thing that they had talked about. So don't go anywhere. We'll know more within about 3 to 4 minutes. We'll know for sure. That clock has about 3 minutes to start moving. Again, otherwise it will be done for the day. That'll be at the end of the launch window. So actually, it's less than that now, isn't it? It's until, well, no. They have until 19, right? Oh, what was it? 13. Oh man, I think they're already at the. Oh, they're gonna call it for the day, aren't they? Probably. They're probably gonna call it, right? And I know those of you that have witnessed scrubs before, you know the frustration of a full scrub when you sat here for hours. Reminds me of the old like Starship days back when, Star Hopper and the SN campaigns when you'd sit there for hours watching a space. That is not me. I don't know what that was. That was them. What was that? Sorry if your ears just actually exploded. That was not me. That was on their stream. I don't know what that was. Wow. I would apologize for that, but that one was not me. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely becoming. So yeah, if you've this means though, guys, that you don't have to watch a launch today, so you can go watch my last video about rocket launches and scrubs and holds and weather considerations and the range. So find my latest video, pull it up right now, cue it up. It's about the range, who's in charge of blowing up rockets, basically. Yeah, give that a watch. I promise it's worth the time. Sorry, I see that our thing went away now. I will try to fix that. Shoot. Well, we don't know. Here's the other deal. We don't know for sure when the next opportunity is, because at this point, if they were to recycle for 24 hours and try again tomorrow, that might have that issue with the FAA, with the launch ban basically during the daytime hours. I don't know. Let's answer a few more questions while we wait for more information. Andy, shout out to both your sons watching, James and Arthur. We've watched Starship launches together. Do I think Blue Origin can compete? I'm hoping that at least if they're not directly competing against Starship per se now, that this gives some pressure for SpaceX to have to lower the cost of Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, and that this gives them grounds to be able to build even bigger rockets and directly compete against Starship. We need that competition. I for one would love to see it, be more active and see them pick up their launch cadence and, really competing just on the commercial market first. But I'm hopeful that between what they're doing, what Rocket Lab's working on, what Stoke's working on, what Relativity's working on, like there's a lot of companies. Okay, they got rid of their countdown even. So it's get ready for the host to come back any second probably and let us know about the scrub. It's coming. Thoughts on space junk damage to return vehicle stranding Chinese astronauts on the space station? I don't know a ton about it, but that's crazy. Really scary. It's kind of the worst case scenario is that space debris. I don't know how we know it's space debris versus like a micrometeor, meteorite or whatever. I'm excited to learn more about it, and I really hope that they can be able to still. There's 6 taikonauts on the station right now, is my understanding, right? And 3 of them basically don't have a return vehicle. Hopefully they can figure it out. I think that, I think it'd be wild if this ends up being a thing of like, in order to get them back safely, they'd have to call upon SpaceX, which not technically compatible, with the docking. The physical mechanism would be compatible, but I don't think the electronics would be compatible for a docking mechanism between, the Chinese space station and like a Crew Dragon capsule. But that would be, I would kind of love that international collaboration of like hey, we're here, to save humans. If that would have to be the case, I don't know how quickly they can have their next Shenzhou capsule ready to go. I'll be paying attention to that one as it unfolds. But it's crazy that within like a year, we've had two sets of astronauts on 2 different missions be stuck on a space station. Like that had never really happened before, and now it's happening a lot. They're happening twice. Let's see. Well, Anthony wants to know, do I think Elon will put you in a mission for a crewed spaceflight on Starship, considering doing moon loss? Are you interested? What new ideas might you be interested in, Moon or Mars? I don't have a huge, that's not my goal in life, is to fly to space. So I'll be okay if I never go to space. I genuinely will be. Like, that's a sincere thing for me when I say that. It's not me coping or something. It never was a goal of me. You can go back to all my live streams. I would always say like, yeah, I probably would go to space if offered, but I've always, maintained that it'd be fun and I'd be up for it, but it's not like my driving force for doing what I do. I do genuinely believe that spaceflight's just going to get less expensive and more, more attainable to the average person for the everyday person. So I think the opportunities will continue to increase. You won't need to be invited. And hopefully, if this all goes on the trajectory it's going, you won't need to be invited by a billionaire to ride a rocket. Like, you don't have to win some lottery or whatever to be able to do that. That's my goal. I would feel less, I would be more excited about it if I was not being paid, like having my seat paid for by a billionaire who was like, hey, I mean, then again, I take that back. If Jared Isaacman offered me a flight on an upcoming launch that he was funding, I would take it in a heartbeat, because he's already done that twice with extremely high amount of success, and I really respect the missions he's done so far. So, yeah. People need to, maybe people are just now tuning in. That is not the rocket on fire. That is the flare stacks of when the propellant boils off. It's currently liquid inside of the rocket. And obviously liquid propellants, especially liquid hydrogen, boils off very easily, vents off as a gas. And instead of just letting it vent near the rocket where it could potentially accumulate, they pipe it away from the rocket and they let it vent a distance. This is actually, it's a long ways away from the rocket. They let it vent away from the rocket, and then they intentionally light it so that it doesn't accumulate. Here we go.
Patiently waiting. So I have an update for you. Today's NG2 launch is scrubbed due to weather, specifically the cumulus cloud rule. We're reviewing opportunities for our next launch attempt based on forecasted weather. I know we were all really excited to watch NG2 take to the skies today. We came down to the wire, and then there you have it. But my name is Tabitha Lipkin. This is Ariane Cornell. We're going to keep you guys posted and updated with all the information that we get as it becomes available to us. That will be on our social media. And until then, we look forward to seeing you at our next launch, and stay cool. Gradatum Ferociter.
All right. So it's official. They scrubbed, as you knew. I mean, we already knew that, but before you go anywhere, though, guys, one last reminder. If you want to see me in person, see Scott Manley, Joe Bernard, Xylofox, and a bunch of other creators and space experts, Eric Berger, people that you probably watch and listen all the time, people from some of the NSF folks, will be on doing panels, we'll be doing speeches, we'll be doing keynotes, and most importantly on Sunday, it's Saturday and Sunday, the January 17th and 18th. On Sunday, we'll be giving awards to the top missions of the year, as we have been doing for the last 3 years in person, giving out real awards to the real engineers and people in charge of these missions. So have your voices heard. We'll be doing voting and talking about it, discussing these things online here soon. But meanwhile, get your tickets to be able to come see the Astro Awards in person, January 17th and 18th in Austin, Texas. Like I said, we have already almost completely sold out of our Apogee. Orbital's over half sold out, and we have a decent amount of general admission tickets, but those typically get sold like near the end. So get them now before they sell out. AstroAwards.live, and come see us in person. And there's gonna be cool stuff, including music and a party and things like that. So AstroAwards.live, see all the it's just awesome. It's one of my highlights of the year. So I hope that you guys look forward to it as well. And we are planning, by the way, to live stream. A lot of people ask that. We are planning to live stream the awards ceremony this year. Last year we couldn't, because we couldn't park our trailer because there was construction where you would park the trailer. So we couldn't get the permit to do that. This year we have secured the permit, and we are planning to live stream it. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't come in person, because there's a lot of cool things happening in person that you can't do online, like attend a concert and meet and greet opportunities and dinner with the speakers and stuff like that. So check it out, AstroAwards.live. It sincerely is like soul filling and very, very fun. So, and again, now that you've seen a scrub and you're like, why is the cumulus cloud rule? Watch my latest video about the range, and hopefully you'll learn why this scrubbed today. And that's my rant on that. XX and at successful space startup, it's easy for tribalism arise. I see it in the industry. Remember, other people's success does not diminish your own. Yes, absolutely. I mean, for me, that's why I'm a huge fan of all these other space channels. I'm a huge fan of Scott Manley and NSF and Lab Padre and Joe Bernard and so many, Marcus House and Zach Golden. I mean, too many to list, but I'm a fan of them because it shouldn't be a competition. It doesn't need to be a competition. And it's more fun to me personally, and this is maybe just my personality trait. it's more fun to me when I see the success of others to use that as motivation to do better on my own and to set a new bar of like, wow, that's awesome. I should be doing something like that or doing, and not like, oh, I don't like them now. They're the competition. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, you're obviously welcome to do that, but let's see here. Richard wants to know, why are we not exploring the lunar lava tubes? For one, they seem to be a great opportunity for base, and second, if the craters in the permanent shadow are an opportunity for O2 fuel, why not the entrance to the lava tubes? Yeah, I think eventually we will. I think it's just a matter of, I think what's important right now is the South Pole is good for continual solar access and power, as well as the ice caps to be able to hopefully, get water and oxygen out of water, liquid water by melting ice and also splitting it into oxygen and hydrogen. There's just opportunities on the South Pole that I think are awarding now, and hopefully, once we have a presence on the moon, we can start looking at other things like lava tubes and things like that for permanent presence. If the booster misses landing pad, will it sink or swim? So I think most boosters, depending on how hard it comes down, if it misses and would just land and tips over slowly, they're a pressure vessel. They would float. It would have a lot of buoyancy, so it would stay on top of the water. We've seen that with SpaceX boosters. It would probably float. If it hits hard, it will blow up, rupture the tanks, and therefore not be a pressure vessel, and it will sink. This is from Silly Cyben. Thanks for sharing your passion. If you want such a big fan, if you wasn't such a big fan of spaceflight, and if I hadn't decided to share it, I would still be under a rock. # Team Space. I love it. Thank you so much. Don't expect an algorithm to promote human knowledge. I agree. It doesn't. The algorithms are... I hate that everything in our life hinges upon algorithms, and now we can't even discern AI from not AI because it's getting too good, and it's just like, what is this? What are we doing? Green Glade just became a member. Thank you so much for the memberships. You guys are awesome. And Robert also became a member. Thank you for Ian Erickson for saying keep it up. I appreciate that encouragement. This is from Luke. I do like hearing from you, a valuable content creator rant. Your complaints are valid criticism and important info for our awareness. Well, I appreciate that. I do like a good rant sometimes, but I try to keep it, to things that are, Luke wants to know, wait, that was already the same one. Thank you again, Luke. This is, I joined late, so you might have already talked about, what are your thoughts on Jared becoming NASA administrator? I did mention it earlier, but I'll kind of say it again real quick that I'm a big fan of what Jared's accomplished so far. I have talked directly with people that he's worked on, with the missions that he's worked on. Literally have talked to the people that have helped plan his missions along with him, trained alongside him. I know very well, and at first hand, I've flown 3 times with him, well, twice in his jet, flown on his jets 3 times out of the fighter jet training weekends out at Bozeman when he flies his jets. So I've been around him mission planning, been around seeing how he treats other people, seeing how he interacts with everyone. And just purely from a human perspective, he's a really considerate and humble human. I've never seen him ever do anything close to bragging even, which is crazy considering what he's accomplished and done. And I've seen him treat absolutely everyone from someone making drinks to a guest to his wife or his kids or a stranger or his crew. Treats everyone with a huge amount of respect, which to me is like, that's where we start. You start there. You start with a good person, and then you see what else they can accomplish. And so already seeing what he's done with mission planning, both in the air with his jets, but also with Inspiration 4 and with Polaris Dawn. I'm sorry, but I can't think of a better person to run NASA and to run a space program, because he really does have a great perspective on that stuff. He's extremely passionate. He's very intelligent. And he has a perspective on that I don't think a lot of people do have. He literally self-funded the first private EVA. That's right there should tell you everything. They did that on a budget that no one else has even considered as possible. So right there, he already has experience taking something from an idea. And the cupola window went from not a thing to flying in like 6 months. If that person that pushes for those kind of ideas and that kind of progress is in charge of NASA and pushing like, hey, this should absolutely not take 3 years. We're making it 6 months. What do we need to do to get it up to a 6-month time frame? I want that. I want that kind of urgency. And I want someone that values, that understands. I don't think NASA should be in the launch business personally. I don't think they should be building rockets that cost $30 billion over 17 years to make personally. I just don't think that I've launched once so far. I just don't think that's the way to do it anymore. We have launch solved. Heisenberg to Mars, to Mars, I say. I can't wait. I hope this mission does take off here soon. And Johnny Lightning says, thanks, Tim, for the coverage on BO. Maybe next time. Maybe next time is right. I'm going to head out because, like I said, I actually have guests in town here that are helping me, that are producing, tracking drums and helping me finalize my album, which I'm really excited to finally get finished and have new music up. So I'm going to sign off, and I really hope that we hear an update on the launch for next attempt, and I hope it's here in the next few days. I don't know what it's going to be like, though, with the FAA daytime launch thing. So stand by. But in the meantime, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I really, really appreciate it. It's awesome seeing this many people in chat and hanging out. It really does mean a lot. And thanks to our mods and our Discord team and everyone that's been hanging out. And yeah, if you want to join our Discord channel, by the way, patreon.com/everydayastronaut. Hop on in, say hi. It's a really fun place to hang out. So they always get some kind of behind the scenes looks at things. So yeah. Yeah, and then lastly, I already told you about Astro Awards. AstroAwards.live. Get your tickets. It's going to be an awesome time. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to people bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Wow. Bye, everybody.